46-year-old nursing assistant Julia Shariat is suing her former landlord, 63-year-old Bernard Southard, for 2 months' rent, a security deposit, and sexual harassment.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 170 on the calendar in the matter of Shariat versus Southard. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Shariat, according to the complaint that I've read, you rented an apartment from the defendant. The apartment was on his property, adjacent to a shop that he had, some sort of shop where he did work. You moved into the apartment in September of 2000, is that right? And it is your claim that you lived there from September, October, November, December, and moved out sometime in January, is that right?
No, I had a 6-month lease, which would have ended the end of February.
I asked when you moved out.
Okay, I stayed 2 more months after this. It was I moved out. April. I was forced to move out.
Just
April 6th.
tell me when you moved out.
April 6th.
So you stayed beyond your lease.
Yes.
And you want many things. You want him to pay you for 2 months' rent. You want him to reimburse you for your security deposit. You are charging him with sexual harassment. And you are charging him with an excessive electricity bill because you say that your apartment was also hooked up to his shop. So you got an excessive electricity bill.
Yes.
That's what you want.
Yes.
Okay. What problems do you claim that the defendant caused you that would inspire me to return rent to you?
Okay. I ended up in the hospital 4 different times.
When? When was the first time?
11/28 is the first hospital report. I had
November 28th?
Yeah.
And what were you hospitalized for?
Well, I went in there for chemical poisoning, which they couldn't test for because there's 150 chemicals out there. But it ended up I had a carbon monoxide level of 10.1.
Okay, that's in November.
10.5, yeah.
Shariat, listen to me. That's in November.
Yeah.
Then you went back to the apartment.
Yeah.
When were you hospitalized again?
Okay, the next one was January 5th.
And why did you go to the hospital January 5th?
That time I was vomiting profusely within 1 hour. And again, they detected even a higher carbon monoxide level. That came to 12.1%.
Okay, and then you went back to your apartment?
No, they said don't go back. It's health hazardous.
So,
I checked into a crisis shelter.
But you told me you stayed in the apartment until April 6th.
Well, I was going to tell you I couldn't for 6 days. I was at a crisis shelter. I was too ill.
But then
I
you went
did go
back to the apartment.
I did go back after that.
Okay, and you stayed then in January, and in February, and in March. Is that right?
Yes, and I also...
When was your next hospitalization?
Okay, it was in April, the beginning of April.
No, that amounts to 3.
Yes.
You said you were hospitalized 4 times while you were living there.
No, I have 3 reports. I did make a mistake. I did go to an allergist. I may have counted that, feeling ill, but it was not the hospital.
Okay.
I have an allergist report.
Now, what rent do you want him to give you back?
I feel after the end of November that it was a very miserable situation.
Then you should have moved.
I had nowhere to move, and I had a 6-month lease.
That's not his problem. That's not his problem. You don't live out the terms of your lease. I mean, unless there's something wrong with you.
Well, it's better than going back into a slum apartment where I came from.
Then that's the choice you made, right?
Yeah.
You stayed there November when you felt sick. You stayed there December, you felt sick. You stayed December, January, February, March. Then you move out in April, and then you sue him for rent. Forget rent. Forget it. All right, let's get to the security deposit. Did he keep your security deposit?
Oh, yeah.
How much was your security deposit?
$400. And I
Did
also...
she give... What?
Excuse me. I also paid $400 in April and had to leave on the 6th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she give you $400 for April?
Yes, ma'am. She did not have all of her stuff out by the end of April.
Just a minute.
Also...
When did you move out all of your stuff?
I had to stay with my friend.
I don't care what... I don't care where to stay.
And I came back on the 13th, and I tried to start moving it. I was unable to because of the fumes.
If your stuff is there, you're there.
Okay, it was completely moved out April 16th.
Why did you keep her security deposit?
I have pictures here where she busted down one of the beds that was left in there for him to use, unrepairable. And also, I have pictures of the apartment, what the apartment was here. but also a spot on the carpet in the front room coming in that will not come up, and the shower stall, which was left so dirty in the bottom that the stains will not come out of the
Your
bottom.
Show me
Honor?
the bills to have all of that stuff fixed.
Your Honor.
Shh.
Oh,
Show me
sorry.
the bills to have all of that stuff fixed. Either you paid to have it fixed, or you have estimates
I
about
did
how.
not have the bills on it. The bed was unrepairable, so I got rid of it.
Forget it. She gets her security back. Unless you have bills to show me what it costs to clean the carpet, repair the carpet, clean up the shower, anything else, she gets her security deposit back. Do you understand that? How
Yes.
much was her security deposit? $400?
Yes.
Good. Perfect. So it's $400 on her side, but no rent. You stayed, that's your problem. Now, let's get to the electricity bill.
Okay. It comes to $1,032 right here. And I have an inspector's report showing that he was
For how many
using-
months is the $1,032?
For the entire time I was able to live there. That would be until April 6th.
So September, October, November, December, January, February, March, part of April. So you're talking about almost 8 months. Is that right?
Yes. But the thing is, I had virtually no heat while I was living there.
Just a minute. $129 a month. Now, is there electric heat?
Yes. In one room.
Is the electricity from her apartment tied into any other area in your home or business?
Yes.
Which place? The shop?
The shop, it wasn't used. It's used to run an air compressor once in a while.
She's not going to pay for that.
Okay, and some fluorescent lights in there once in a while. It was hardly there.
Well, how were you supposed to divide this electricity bill? She shouldn't
Okay.
be responsible for all
She
of the
did not pay
electricity.
any of the water bill. I took care of the water bill, and when she moved in, she was supposed to pay all the electricity bill.
Oh, she was supposed to pay all the electricity bill for her apartment, not for your shop. Did your lease
It's all
require?
connected in one meter, and that was in the agreement when she moved in.
Show me, because I would think that you have to be crazy to say, I'll pay for my apartment and your shop too, even if you only use the shop occasionally. That's ridiculous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Julia Shariat says former landlord Bernard Southard tried to poison her with pesticide. Julia is also accusing Bernard of propositioning her for sex.
Do you have a written lease with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it? Okay. Did you pay for any water usage when you were there?
No.
Because this says that you shall be responsible for the utilities, including water. Now, Mr. Southard says that you didn't pay for the water, but he has to show me the water bills. You have water bills?
No, ma'am, I did not bring the water bill.
How large is this apartment? Put your hand down. I don't need you.
Okay, it
How
was
large
about
is this apartment?
probably 15 to 1,700 square feet. Had virtually no heated, only heated one room. He was in this shop and warehouse 10 to 12 hours a day most of the time. I
Let me
need
see
to
the
say
bill.
also something about the shower. It was
I didn't
loaded.
ask you about a shower. Let me see the bill, the electricity bill.
Okay.
Springfield, Illinois. It gets very cold in the wintertime, doesn't it there?
I was living in about 50.
I'm asking you if it gets cold there.
Yes. Very cold. Yes.
And you were there September, October, November, December, January, and February. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. This says the entire amount due was $834.
I applied for low energy assistant. They paid for over 200 and some, so that's deducted.
The bill here is $834. Is that right? You told me $1032.
But then low energy assistant paid for 200 some.
So you didn't pay for it.
Not for the 1,000, but the 834 is still standing.
Hi.
Well, the reason I brought this was because, see, I felt he was using my assistance program for his benefit, ma'am.
You don't get credit for that. Why did you tell me it was $1,032?
It was until they stepped in and helped. But I felt he was using my assistance program to his benefit since he used this shop
So what
10
should
to
I do
12
with that?
hours.
Give you the credit for it?
I just don't like users. I felt you should know that I did apply for the energy assistance, and at first it was 1,000. That was hard to apply for. It's demeaning, and I didn't like to do that.
Your Honor.
So your bill was really $100 a month for electricity that includes heat, is that right, in your apartment?
I did have heat in one room, yes.
Whether you had heat in one room or a half room, you had heat in the apartment in Illinois in December.
Your Honor.
What?
The heaters was in the other rooms. They was 220. She had her little
Listen to me. You
110
caused
heater.
the problem, sir.
Pardon?
You caused the problem. The problem is, if you rent an apartment, you should have separate meters for every part of the premises that you're renting. Now, you didn't have a separate meter, so now I'm going to have to make a calculated guess as to what portion of this electric bill I'm attributing to you, because it's unjust for her to have to pay for anything in your shop. So her entire bill was $800 for 8 months. I'm attributing $25 a month to you, sir. $75 a month to the plaintiff. Electric heat is very expensive. That includes lights and everything else. $75 a month doesn't seem like an awful lot for electric. Does it seem like a lot for electric with electric heat? Not to me. Once lived in an apartment that had electric heat. I got my first bill, $600. It was a 3-room apartment. Okay, so we are up to $600. $400 for the security deposit and $200 that I'm giving you credit for towards your electric bill. That's his responsibility. Now let's get to the sexual harassment, which is the other part of your claim.
After 2.5 months of living there, he resented the fact that I was going back with an old boyfriend. He got on a revenge trip and he started just barging into my apartment. He walked upstairs into my bathroom one morning and then actually took a step into my bedroom. That's when he went too far. I called the sergeant, and here's a report. She felt like it was so threatening.
Don't tell me what she felt. I'm not interested in hearing what you think she felt.
Okay.
Listen to me. You filed this report December 30th. You stayed on January, February, March with a man that you say is threatening you. He threatened her.
By his presence, by his barging in, yes.
That's not what it says here. It just says, and he has threatened her, is what you told the police.
I felt like if I didn't be overly nice or friendly, I mean, then he would pull tactics as poisoning. That's threatening.
Move.
I didn't want to go into government housing.
Then you must not have felt that threatened.
Yeah, but I would have had to give my dog up. When you weigh it out, which is better?
Well, if someone is threatening me, trying to poison me, feel as if he is going to stalk you by coming into your home unannounced and do other dastardly deeds to you, I would prefer to live in a cardboard box under a bridge. I'm giving you $600, madam. That is $400 for your security deposit, which you are entitled to. I don't believe that he sexually harassed you in any way.
He
I am
offered
giving
me
you
$50 for a job.
What?
He offered me $50 for a job.
Did you turn him down?
You betcha.
Good. And $200 for the credit on your electricity. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Her own brother was there from California. Said she was mentally ill.
My brother even stepped in and said, leave her alone.
She lied all the time. She always did.
He started yelling, get off my property, and I had a lease there. And, you know, I mean, it was just insane.
You know, it's clear that she's obviously had some psychiatric care throughout her life.
I believe firmly, look into the background of a landlord.
And now the next case.
All parties on Arredondo versus Bradley. Step forward, please.
20-year-old student Genevieve Arredondo is suing her former friend, 22-year-old telemarketer Tylen Bradley, for the cost of a tuxedo rental and a traffic ticket.
Ms. Arredondo, you know the defendant since high school, according to your papers, for a long time. You were friends, maybe a little bit more. You claim a series of small loans to the defendant over a short period of time, several months ago. One for some tickets and then one for a tuxedo rental. The whole big case is about $150.
Yes, ma'am.
So the two of you must not have anything special to do with your time other than come to court over $150, but I'm prepared to hear you. When was the first loan?
July 21st of 2000.
For what?
The tuxedo rental for $68.78.
What was that for?
Mr. Bradley was participating in a wedding, and he was unemployed at the moment, and I told him I would let him borrow the money so he could buy the tuxedo.
You didn't buy a tuxedo?
Rent the tuxedo, I'm sorry.
Put it on your credit card?
Yeah, I did. Yes,
okay, you wore the tuxedo?
Yes, I wore a tuxedo.
Did you ask her for the money for the tuxedo?
Well, actually, what had happened was we was discussing it, And I had told her what had happened to why I wasn't able to get it. And she told me, well, if
Why
you need
weren't
help.
you able to get it?
Well, because at the time I wasn't employed regularly, and also I had some money stolen from me that I had saved to get it. And so she said, well, she'll be able to help me. Well, she didn't actually know at the time if she would be able to, but if she could, she would. Then she came back to me and said that she would be able to. And so I accepted because I was going to be best man, so I needed a tuxedo.
Did you say you'd pay her back?
No, at that time there was no discussion of me paying her back.
Why not?
Because, as my understanding, she was doing it out the kindness of her heart.
No.
Did you say to her, that's really very nice of you. When I have the money, I'll pay you back?
No. There was no, like I said, there was no discussion over any repayment.
When did he say he would pay you back? Look at me.
He didn't say a specific date.
He didn't say, I'll pay you back. Did you expect to go to this wedding with him?
No.
Didn't think he was going to ask you to take you to the wedding?
I thought he would have asked, but he never did.
Right. You thought he would have asked. Paid for the tuxedo, maybe he'd ask you to go to the wedding, then you'd go together. What's the next one? Come on, let me hear.
A month later, he had an outstanding ticket, and he told me he didn't have the money again to pay it, and he said if he didn't pay it, he was going to get a warrant for his arrest. So my stepbrother gave me $80. I put it into my account, or $88. I put it into my account and made a check to Metropolitan Court, and I gave it to Mr. Bradley.
And when did he say he would pay you back?
I just said, whenever you get a job, you can pay me back.
Is that what you said to him, whenever you get a job?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, where are you working?
Right now?
Yeah.
MCI, man.
When did you get that job?
In January.
So why don't you pay her back this money for the ticket?
Because it wasn't a loan. I mean, the whole reason why I think that she even wants the money was because of the fact, like you going back to the wedding, was that I did not invite her.
Okay, forget the wedding.
Okay,
forget the
wedding.
tuxedo.
Okay,
I don't believe that was a loan.
Okay. So,
But
I mean,
if you have a
back to
warrant issued for your arrest, and you can get out of having the warrant issued for your arrest by getting $88 from her, you take $88 from her, why don't you give her back the money?
Because, again, it wasn't a loan. I mean, she just did it like to help me out.
Why would she want to just help you out?
Because, I mean, we were friends. I mean, maybe, she thought there was a little bit more. Maybe she wanted a little bit more. But we were just friends, and the whole talk about repayment wasn't brought up until I had moved in with the mother of my daughter. Then that's when she started saying, well, I need to be paid back. You need to pay me back. You said you was going to pay me back.
If somebody helps you out because they like you and they don't want you to go to jail, then the honorable thing to do, the nice thing to do, but most of all, the honorable thing to do, the just thing to do, is to pay him back the money. Now, this tuxedo business, as I said to you, I think she thought that she would get to go to the party with you. You didn't invite her. That wasn't really nice. However, it's different when you say, unless you give me the money, I'm going to go to jail.
No, I did not say that to her. She asked me what happens if you don't pay it.
And
Then I told her that.
what did you tell her?
Then I told her that it'll turn into a warrant. Eventually, I would go to jail.
Grow up. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $88. Get a life, sir. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 298 on the calendar in the matter of Lord versus Rudell. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Are you Alex?
Yeah.
How old are you, Alex?
7.
Are you smart?
Yes.
You want to come up and sit here and talk to me for a minute?
No, thank you.
He said he was smart, right?
It's really nice up here. I have a cushion for you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Come on, she can talk to you better up here.
Come on. I can talk to you better than sitting in that
No,
chair.
thank you.
No, thank you. Okay. Got it. Alex is a little nervous.
I'll do it by time.
Miss Laura, according to your complaint, the defendant is a former roommate and friend of yours.
Yes.
You are suing him for many things. One of the things that you are suing him for is you believe that his son, Alex, injured your cat, and you had substantial veterinary bills.
Yes.
You are also suing him for some rent and utility bills and a whole bunch of other stuff. But the thrust of your complaint are the vet bills for the cat. Is that
Correct.
right? Okay. Based upon what I read, you had agreed to babysit for Alex that day, and his mother had brought him over. Is that you? Mm-hmm. They are not together.
No.
But you were going to do some babysitting, and they were going out someplace.
Correct.
The defendant and his former wife?
Right.
Okay. While you were all sitting around in the kitchen, tell me what you heard.
I was actually sitting at the kitchen table, so I had a view both of the hallway where the cat came from and where the child was sitting. I saw my cat leave my bedroom and walk down the hall. I saw him get up and run towards the cat. All of a sudden, the cat screamed a really funny scream, and I didn't get up right away. One more scream, and I did get up. And seeing her laying on the stairs, she was just laying there. Her eyes were kind of large and glassy, and she just looked different than any time I'd ever seen her. It was very scary for me and her, I'm sure. Picked her up and felt her leg and said that, yes, indeed, it was broken. I immediately called my veterinarian to tell them that we were on our way, that the cat had a broken leg. They left me with the child, and I got in the car with the cat to go.
And Alex.
And Alex, yeah. They had plans to go out, and quite truthfully, after the fact, I thought, why didn't they take the kid? But I was just so upset about the cat that I just had her, and my only thought was to get her to the vet as quickly as possible. They were going to be closing, and they knew we were coming. She said that in looking at the x-ray...
You can't tell me what she said.
Okay.
Unless you have a report from the vet, do you?
I do have reports from the vet.
I'd like to see the report.
And pictures
from the vet.
also of Eek.
Okay.
Can you see the picture?
And the photographs. Well, according to the letter, unfortunately, the fracture did not heal properly, so the only option left was amputation of that leg.
Her body began to absorb the leg, and she became in a lot of pain, so we tried pain pills for a short time trying to preserve the leg. That didn't work, and the leg had to be amputated.
Is she doing all right now?
She's fine.
Okay. Now, I'd like to know, Miss Laura, what makes you think that Alex did something to your cat?
When we were sitting at the table, and I saw the cat come this way, and I saw Alex go that way, and then she screamed. There was no one else there, first of all. When we ran there, Alex was standing at the top. It was an exposed stairway, and he was standing at the top there and just looking down. A few days later, I asked him if he did it, and he said yes.
How did he say he did it?
I sat down in my kitchen when he was left with me again, and I just sat down, I looked at him, and I said, "Did you break Eek's leg?" And he looked at me and put his head down and said yes. I believe he threw her down the stairs. I mean, that's the only, because the stairs were, she was on the bottom of the stairs, or towards the bottom.
Now, you said that when you saw your cat go up the stairs, you saw Alex follow her.
She went down the hall, and he went the other way. So she probably ended up right by the stairs, and there's a railing there. And my suspicion, although I don't know, but just from where she landed, was that he had grabbed for her, and she ended up going right over. Again, it's what the vet had told me, but they said there was so much force of the injury, it wasn't just a fall, to have such a bad injury to her leg, to her one leg especially.
Alex, do you remember when the cat got hurt?
No.
You don't remember that day?
Remember the day, not the exact date.
Do you remember going with Miss Laura to the veterinarian with the cat?
Yeah.
Well, that was the day the cat got hurt, okay? Were you there when the cat got hurt?
Yeah.
Were you trying to play with the cat?
No.
Tell me what happened.
I was holding it, it came over to me and rubbing it. So I thought it wanted to go downstairs, and I picked it up, and I think it pushed down so hard that I think it broke its leg.
Okay, so you were holding the cat, and it jumped out of your arms and fell down the stairs? Had you played with the cat before, Alex?
No.
That was the first time you ever played with the cat? There are other cats in the house, aren't there?
Yeah.
Do you play with those cats?
Not that much.
Not that much? Do you like cats?
Yeah.
You weren't trying to hurt the cat, were you?
No.
So now you know how it happened. Did your son tell you that before?
Well, see, that's the thing. She didn't ask him.
No, I'm asking you a question.
This story
I'm
is
asking you.
changing.
Shh, listen to me. You're not letting me finish.
Sorry.
Stop being defensive. Did your son tell you at any time before today that that's what happened with the cat?
Oh, I'd say about 4 or 5 days ago. Would be the first time that I heard that he even picked up the cat.
Okay. So this is a recent thing that you just heard. You mean just recently?
Just recently.
A year later?
Mm-hmm.
Can I say something?
Yes.
He also told me that when I sat down and we had an argument, he said that if I pursued this, that he would say he and Ann and the child were sitting in the kitchen together.
What?
That he would lie. You're lying. You know you are.
No, that's ridiculous.
Miss Laura, listen to me.
Consummate victim. That's what she is.
No. Listen to me, sir. There is no question.
Am I done asking?
I don't know what you're getting angry about. She's not a consummate victim. Her cat was injured, but for the actions of your son, her cat would not have been injured. Now, I'm not suggesting to you that this was a purposeful thing. I'm suggesting to you that he's a little child and that he picked up a rather large cat, and the cat may not have been comfortable in his arms when he picked up the cat and wanted to get down. And because they were standing so close to the steps, the cat was thrown down the steps and broke her leg. There may not even be an issue as to liability on your part because you were all there together.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marie Lohr says her former roommate's son, 7-year-old Alex Rudell, injured her cat. Marie says the cat's leg had to be amputated.
What were the veterinary bills for the cat?
$1985.45.
Can I see the bill, please? Did she discuss these bills with you, sir?
No, ma'am.
Did she ever tell you that she thought you should pay or help pay for these bills?
Eventually.
Eventually?
Yeah.
And what did you tell her?
The thing is that we didn't see anything. I don't know. She's saying she saw Alex and the cat. Mind you, there's 8 cats and 3 great big dogs that live in this house.
Well, right now, let's say it's only a few days ago, sir, if I believe you, that you finally ascertained from your son that he was responsible for the cat's injury.
Correct.
So I'm asking you, let's talk about today.
Okay.
If you knew then what you know now, what would you have said to her with regard to the veterinary bills? Would you have told her to put the cat down because it was too expensive?
Would I have told her?
Yes.
I understand she does love animals. There's no doubt about that.
I'm asking you a question. Would you have told her that it was too expensive, she should put the cat down?
Would I? Yes.
That's what you would have told her.
Yes.
That's what I assume you would have told her. But that's not an option. You know, people who love animals the same way that some people who have children love their children.
Which I understand.
Okay, so if you understand that, then you can't make that kind of an insensitive comment.
But to
what?
me personally, $2,000 for a cat is a lot of money.
Well, $2,000 to fix a cat is a lot of money. And to some, do you have children?
No, they're my children.
Shh, I asked you if you had
No.
a question. You have children? Those, as she said,
Right.
are her children. Now, you have one child.
Right.
God forbid something happened to your child. What would you think if somebody said to you, well, we're not going to spend $100,000 to give him that surgery. You can make another one.
I understand that.
How would you feel? Would you think that they were an insensitive moron?
That's not what I meant by it.
Well,
I mean,
what do you mean by it?
I mean, it's a lot. I understand the part about the kids being her kids.
Well,
I
but
understand
you know,
that.
you can't be. I know you say you understand it,
I mean,
but
I
if you
had
say
a
you
cat
understand it,
for
then
the
you have.
longest time.
If you say you understand it, then you have to appreciate how callous that sounds.
It wasn't meant to sound callous.
Well, that was meant to save you some money, and you are partially responsible for this.
No.
I don't think he's totally responsible for it because you were all there, and each of you could have monitored the child a little bit better. Now, what other items do you believe that he owes you?
He stopped payment on a check for his rent.
For what month?
It was actually for August, but he gave it to me in mid-September.
Did he live there in August?
Yeah, he was there all of August.
Okay, so, and he never paid you August rent?
No, it's with this check that he stopped payment on.
Okay, let me see it.
And these are the charges. I don't know if you want those too.
What else?
That was also the utilities. And actually, you have those up there already.
Do you have in your evidence, sir, payment for August rent?
No, ma'am.
What else?
I had the locks changed because I was afraid Rob had threatened my dog Henry and said he was going to shoot him.
Good idea when somebody moves out to change the locks anyway. What else? That's your bill.
Well, actually, I don't ever do it.
Good. No, that's your problem. You should do it. What else?
I trusted him. The utilities.
What date did you move out, sir?
I believe it was.
It was a
either
Sunday,
week-
16th of September.
Sunday.
It was the 16th of September that you moved out? Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because she was threatening my son. She called him.
Because I see you wrote this check on
Right.
the 15th of September.
Because I was leaving.
17.
To cover what month?
September.
I can't tell whether it's September or October. You have any proof of rent receipts, et cetera, for the entire
again, I
period from
trusted him,
1999?
and-
Well, he's going to pay you for half of your vet bills. That's $1,000. He's going to pay you this check, which was stopped payment was stopped on this for a month's rent. That's $300.99, and for the $12 for the stop payment, that's $1,312.99. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Anything is possible in terms of how the particular cat got injured.
He tends to have a temper, and I think that when the cat tried to get away, that she launched, and he probably just kind of pitched her.
She forced me out of the house. I stopped payment on my check.
When someone says they're going to shoot my dog, I don't ask them if they have a gun or not. I'm just thinking they're going to hurt my dog, and I'm next.
It's done. She can move on with her pathetic life.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Reckenmacher versus Smith. Step forward, please.
40-year-old professional clown Paul Reckenmacher says he was requested to perform as Captain Knucklehead by 47-year-old event planner Sherry Smith. Paul says at the last second, she hired some other clown.
How should I phrase this? Mr. Reckenmacher, you are a clown by profession. And Ms. Smith, you're a party planner.
Yes, I am.
It is your claim, Mr. Reckenmacher, that the defendant breached a contract with you for services that you were to perform for her. You want to be compensated to the tune of $5,000 for that breach of contract. May I see the contract? Are these the original contracts, sir?
Yes, they are.
They're not signed.
That's true.
Thank you.
Then if they're not signed, that's not a contract.
Thank you.
But we had an agreement.
Just a second.
Let's go.
All this is statements from you, and this says date of event, the first one, June 10th of '01, that the client was Lexus.
Yeah.
Supposed to take place at Clark Park. Captain Knucklehead, I assume that's you.
That's me.
Will perform 5 hours, including a half-hour field games and warm-up, etc. Price is $1,200. Unsigned. Then I have one. Captain Knucklehead will perform 5 hours, again including the same thing, fee $1,200. I have one for June 23rd, 2001, and again on August 12th, and this is what you're suing for.
Yes.
Did you, in fact, perform for the defendant on June 10th?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you, in fact, perform for the defendant on June 23rd?
No, I did not.
Did you, in fact, perform for the defendant on July 27th?
No, I did not.
So, explain to me the lawsuit.
Okay, we've had a relationship for a long time, and it's basically this. We had an agreement months before that was hammered out by one of my witnesses, that was the sales manager at the time, Melody Calvert, and the agreement was as such that I would have exclusive booking rights in exchange for a lower price and the ability to substitute other entertainers if I couldn't do that. And that's what happened is she asked me a week before, and she knew very well, we all agreed on this, and she said, are you going to be performing at this event? And I said, no, I'm going to be substituting, as we agreed in our meeting earlier on. And she knew about this many, many months before in my profession.
Just a second. Just 1 second, sir. Let me go back. Am I to understand that your lawsuit now is that you did not perform at these functions, but that you hired someone else to perform at these functions, and therefore you fulfilled your obligation under this unsigned agreement?
That would have been the situation under the first two. But she said since I wasn't doing the first two, that she wouldn't do any of the other contracts or have me do them.
Stop right there. I'm going to make this very simple. On the 10th of June, 2001, it says Captain Knucklehead will perform 5 hours. You are Captain Knucklehead. You did not perform for 5 hours. Who did you send?
I would have sent another...
No, not would have sent.
I didn't send anyone.
So nobody went June 10th?
No.
Services not provided. June 23rd, you did not perform. Did you send someone else?
I did not.
July 27th, you did not perform. Did you send someone else?
No, I did not. And let me save you some time. I didn't do the last one either.
Then you don't have a cause of action, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you do not have a formal written contract signed by both parties with an understanding, then what you are suing for is what we call, in legal terms, you want to be paid under a theory of quantum meruit, which is that you get paid because you performed a service, she accepted the service, and you have the right to be paid pursuant to that service. So, if you performed and she didn't pay you, you get paid. If, for instance, on June 10th, you sent someone else that she accepted who performed in your place, then you get paid. If you do not have a written contract and you didn't perform any service, you get
So verbal contracts mean nothing.
You get nothing, zero, zip,
Even if
nada, zilch, you get nothing. If you showed up, or if somebody showed up, you would have gotten paid. You didn't show up, you didn't send anybody, you don't get paid. Goodbye and good luck. It's been nice seeing you. Have a good life.
I didn't get to say anything.
Can I?
Parties are excused. This way, Captain Knucklehead. Now, this is case number 245 on the calendar in the matter of Danilova versus Starry. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Young lady, have a seat, please.
Ms. Danilova, it is your claim that the defendant purposely damaged your car by throwing a coffee mug at it, which caused it to dent and something to crack. The defendant says he absolutely did that.
Yes, I did.
And he says he's got a good reason. So I have a few questions to ask you. I gather that you people really don't know each other.
No.
But you live in a house that's in a cul-de-sac, and you have a friend that lives in that cul-de-sac, whom you visit frequently.
Well, not anymore.
Well, you used to.
Yeah.
How old are you?
19.
And you've been told before by people that live on the street that you drive too quickly in this cul-de-sac. Is that a fair statement?
No.
Have you ever been found guilty of driving at an excessive rate of speed?
Yes.
Where?
Freeways, mostly.
How many speeding violations do you have?
Since I had my license.
So I assume that you were driving before you had your license. You're not going to tell me that. You're going to tell me after you had your license. How many speeding violations have you had?
I think like 7.
7?
Yes.
So it wouldn't be beyond a reasonable person's imagination that you drive too quickly in this cul-de-sac. Is that right?
Right.
So why don't you tell me what happened on the day that Mr. Starry threw a coffee mug at your car?
Me and my sister were driving to pick up my friend. As we were driving by Mr. Starry and his friends, I don't know, my windows were up, so all I heard was just a bunch of yelling, and I saw a bunch of people outside on the sidewalks in the street.
So that there were people out there. Were there adults and children?
I saw adults, mostly.
Or maybe you were going too fast to see the children.
No. It's the cul-de-sac that they live in. It's really hard to speed because it's at a curve, and there are cars
Most
parked.
cul-de-sacs are on a curve. That's what a cul-de-sac is. It's a curve. Goes around.
Well...
So you went to pick up your friend, and what happened after you went to pick up your friend?
While we were in her house, some ladies came up to the door, said, you know, she was speeding, you know, slow down, and I acknowledged that.
So you acknowledged that you were going too fast?
Yes, I listened to them.
Why did you do it?
I mean, I wasn't speeding like going 30, I wasn't going over 35 miles an hour.
35 miles an hour is not what you do in a cul-de-sac. Then you left. In the car. You were driving. Is that right?
Yes.
And what happened?
As we were driving by Mr. Starry, something was thrown at my car. It bounced off, and that's when I stopped the car and got out to see what was going on.
Did you exchange words?
Yes, we did.
What were the words?
Well, he was just yelling at me to... I don't know if I could...
Slow down.
Well, he was just yelling and screaming and getting in my face. He didn't say it politely.
Okay, I'll hear you.
Your Honor, on the day in question, I was inside my house when she came into the neighborhood, and my wife and 2 neighbor ladies went to the door and knocked on the door and asked her to slow down. What they reported to me was they laughed and slammed the door in their face. When I heard that...
That sounds right.
When I heard that, I got irritated. When she backed out of her driveway and screeched her tires to come up the cul-de-sac, without really even any consideration, I stepped out in front of her and threw my coffee cup at her car.
Can I say something about what he said?
Sure.
That car could not screech tires if you tried because it's a Corolla and it was an automatic. When the ladies came up to the door, it was my friend's mother who actually opened the door. And I don't think she would slam the door in their face.
Did you
She
laugh
came
at
up
her?
to us saying, there's ladies outside saying you guys were speeding. We're like, well, okay.
Is that what you said, like, well, okay?
Well, my friend came up to the door to talk to them, and they were just yelling and screaming, saying, you're speeding, you're speeding.
And you said, well, okay.
I said, okay, I understand. You know, what else am I supposed to say?
Okay. Now, would it be a fair statement that prior to this incident, you would go and pick up your friends pretty often?
Almost daily.
Now, after this incident, would it be a fair statement that you don't go to pick up your friend anymore?
Yes.
No.
Shh, 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 just a second.
I'm sorry.
That you don't go there every day anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't go there every day anymore because you're frightened to go on that street.
No. I don't go on that street anymore because he constantly harasses me. I've had this whole summer.
So that you are frightened to go on that street because he harasses you. And you're afraid what might happen.
Yeah, he's threatened me before.
Not before this incident,
Not
you
before
said.
this incident, no.
Afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be fair to say that as a result of him throwing a mug at your car, you don't go to pick up your friend anymore.
Yes, you can say that.
So you accomplished your purpose. Is that right? Just answer my question. So you accomplished your purpose. You don't have to worry. Just listen to me. You don't have to worry about her as you did previously.
Now it's that way, Your Honor, but it wasn't that way until after, I would say, June or July.
Fine, but then you've accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. Is
Right,
that
but
right?
I finally had to take her to another court for attempting to run me over in the street.
But now she doesn't come back.
Finally, yes, and I'm happy with that.
Now, I absolutely think that each of you should bear a certain responsibility with regard to this incident. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
Good. I'm awarding you $1. The rest of it's your fault. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
That dollar thing was totally uncalled for.
I'm happy.
I did what he wanted me to do. I stopped coming over there. I stopped speeding.
I'm happy with that. That's what I wanted.
And now the next case.
All parties are Laram versus Huth. Step forward, please.
35-year-old teacher Susan Laram is suing her former live-in boyfriend, 29-year-old Mason Ron Huth, for unpaid living expenses and damage to her car.
Ms. Laram, the complaint that I read said that you lived with the defendant for about 1.5 years.
He lived with me.
He lived with you. And that you no longer live together. The breakup was acrimonious, and he owes you for a variety of things. He owes you for rent. He owes you for damage he did to your car at one point, and he owes you for smashing up some work that was done in your backyard.
Yes.
When did you start living together?
In June of 2000.
And what was the rent arrangement?
At that time, he was supposed to help me out with the bills, and he didn't do that, so after some arguing, I had him put it down in writing.
That sounds romantic. Can I see that, please?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Laram is suing former live-in boyfriend Ron Huth for unpaid living expenses and for damaging her truck in a fit of rage. Ron says Susan tried to make off with his children's car seats.
Well, this is dated May of this year.
Yes.
When did you move out?
I moved out a week after that note was written.
Okay, so this writing is meaningless. You were fighting at the time. I want to know what your arrangement was from the time he moved in until May of 2001, because that's when he moved out.
Right.
Did he contribute any money to the house?
No, he did not.
According to you, Mr. Huth, you gave her your paychecks.
Every paycheck that I made from the time that I started living with Sue, and to make sure the record is clear, I only lived with Sue for 5 months before we got into our first argument, which you would say, where we had our first breaking up. I moved out on November 29th of 2000. All right, that was my birthday. There was an incident that happened that
All right,
night.
we'll get to that incident because that has to do with car damage that she's claiming.
Okay,
Okay, let's get to the fact that you say you turned over all your paychecks to her during the 5 months that you actually lived together. Is that accurate, Ms. Laron?
It was, but then he also took all the money back out of my account.
Well, how did he take the money back out of your account?
He had my check card, and that was how he deposited his check, but then he also, in turn, took out all the cash.
Well, if he's putting his entire paycheck into the bank, just pay careful attention. He's putting what he earns into the bank. So he has to clearly take out some money for himself to live on, to go to work, to do whatever he has to do, to buy clothes, etc. Now, if you're telling me that he's using your checking account as merely a way of getting his own money back and he wasn't contributing anything to the house, that's a different story, because that would be sort of like using your bank as a check cashing service. But if the two of you are using your checking accounts and you can't manage your bills, and that's what you were fighting about, you can't come to court later. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, do you have any such record from the bank indicating that he was using your checking account as just check cashing?
Not with me.
Well, this is the place to have it. So that deals with the issue of rent. Now let's get to this car issue. You say in October of 2000 he purposely damaged your car.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
We were in a fight over the phone bill because the phone was shut off because the phone bill was not paid. And I was going over to my girlfriend's house to get away from him because we were arguing. He jumped on the hood of my car, and as I drove by trying to get him off of my car, he jumped off and smashed the mirror.
Now, what's your version of that event?
Well, ma'am, it isn't in October because it happened on my birthday. I came home late from work that evening. I had planned to do something with Sue. Prior to that night, though, she had told me that her and her daughter were going to go over to a friend's house and spend the evening.
You had been fighting, I assume, over money.
Actually, no, the fighting was not actually about money. What I was more angry about was she burned my birthday dinner. She burned my birthday cake.
I mean, she burned it on purpose.
Well, she was so busy, what I think, and I'm not sure, but I think she was so into the fact that she was getting ready for her evening that she forgot about it.
So she burned your birthday dinner.
Right. I came home, and she told me that she was just going over to a friend's house the night before to have some drinks, which turned into, I'm going to a wine tasting party. This is my birthday, November 29th.
Should have been, just a minute, should have been a clue.
Should have been a clue, you're right. You're right, Your Honor.
So what happened?
Well, she was leaving. We actually got into a very big argument. My children were actually there. I then told Sue when she was going out to her vehicle that I needed my car seats because I knew that there was going to be an altercation when she got back from the store for making a phone call.
You mean a car seat for the children?
They were in the back of her Blazer. I then followed her in the garage. She got into her vehicle. She locked the door and turned the radio up so I couldn't speak. I walked around behind the vehicle. I stood there, and I did not move. I told her I was not getting out of the way till I had my car seats. She began to back over me. I moved out of the way. I followed her down the driveway, and then I stood in front of her vehicle, and I said, all I want are my children's seats so I can take them back to their mothers. That's it. You know what? That was the end. She would have stopped the vehicle, got out, and gave me them. It would have been over.
Okay,
all right? I then proceeded. She started to move. I jumped up on the hood, and I laid on it. Very wrong for me to do. Put myself in very much danger. She began to accelerate down the road with me on the hood of the car, okay? I slid off the side on the driver's side. When I hit the ground, she gunned it. And you know what? I can't just say what exactly happened. I know that the mirror was damaged. It was ripped off the vehicle. I was hit here in the shoulder. She drove around the corner, got out of her vehicle, and yelled every obscenity that you can imagine at me because her mirror was busted.
Did you get the car seats back?
No, never did. She took off.
That is not true.
He seems pretty clear. He acknowledges the fact that he jumped on the hood of your car and that the mirror was broken. So,
the incident in question happened October 7th, which is a Saturday. And as far as his birthday dinner, it was not burned.
But my question to you about this car incident was that this happened in either October or November of 2000. And he left, but then he came back.
Right. He did not leave until December.
Fine. Now, when he came back, did you talk about the car?
Yes. I asked him when he was going to repair it, and he got some glue and tried to glue it twice, and it didn't work. So I did ask him to repair it, and he did not.
When did you ask him to repair it?
Right after it happened.
You lived together in January, is that right?
Yes.
Did he fix the car in January?
No.
What about February? Did he fix the car?
No.
March?
No.
April?
No.
And then we go into May.
Right.
Miss Larome, not everything is a lawsuit, madam. He describes an incident where you took off in a huff and you had his children's car seats in the car. Did that ever happen?
Yes, that happened. But after he knocked the mirror off my car, I took the car seats out and threw them in the yard. So he did get them back.
Well, why didn't you give them back before?
I didn't realize they were in the back seat of my car. That doesn't make it right for him to jump on the hood of my car and break my car mirror.
Absolutely not. You were driving off with his property. And you knew you had his property in the car.
I
You were
did
very
not
angry.
know.
You were very angry. People do things when they get angry. And if you had said, well, I may have been angry, but you had no right to put yourself on the hood of my car, even though I was taking off the property that belongs to you.
Right. I was only going up to the store to use the
Who
phone.
knows? Who cares? He wanted the children's car seats.
Right.
He'd had a fight in front of the children. He wanted to take the children home. It's all a fight. Not everything involves a lawsuit. You behaved badly. He behaved badly. And when you took the car seats out and threw them on the lawn, that also was not the right thing to do.
You're right.
Right?
You're right.
Okay. So take care of it like grown-ups. Now let's get to the backyard. You say that you had a major argument in May of this year and that he destroyed the backyard. His defense is that he built the backyard so he could destroy the backyard. Is that your defense? So let's hear about the backyard.
As part of a present to me, he built brick planters in my backyard around the deck. I have photos if you'd like to see. And because of the argument that we had that day in June, he destroyed all of it.
I did that, Your Honor. I did.
All right. Did you, in fact, build this brick planter box for her?
Gotcha.
Or you were in the process of building? It doesn't look like it's completed.
It wasn't complete yet, but almost.
As a gift?
Your Honor, yeah, it was a gift. It was also the part of like the deck that I built. It was all something to work out for flowers and stuff.
Okay.
A lot of the other stuff that I do have a list of things in the course of the time that we were together that I did build in this house.
Can I see it, please?
And around the yard. And I never asked for one penny for any of this when I left. And this is my own hard-earned work, myself, my labor of bringing these materials home from work for this lady. And it was because I enjoyed her and loved her very much. And that's why I did that.
Let me ask you a question. Did he build a playhouse in a shed?
I have a photo of that, too. And it is not a playhouse or a shed. It is a big monster that is in my yard.
Did you tell him to take it out? Did you tell him to stop building it when he was building it?
No, he just quit building it. So I have that in my yard.
Okay. Did he build a doghouse?
He put a roof over the top of the doghouse.
He said he built a doghouse and then he put a roof on the dog kennel.
Right, for his dog.
Did he build a deck?
Yes, that's in
That's the whole
picture.
back deck?
Right.
Didn't break the deck?
No.
What about a brick fire pit? Did he build that?
Yes.
I see that you did work around the house and you were building things around the house and you do have a deck, correct?
Yes.
You had no right out of anger, sir.
I know.
To smash the work that you did.
You're right, I did.
And so what this involves is cleaning this up.
Right.
How much do you estimate it's going to cost to clean up the bricks?
I talked to his former employer, and he said to clean it up and replace it would be $3,000.
No way. He made a mess. He got angry and he made a mess, and he should pay for that.
Your Honor.
Yes.
While I was wrecking it, the officer came into the yard. He asked me what I was doing, and I said I was wrecking something that I spent a lot of good time building for this lady. And you know what? Out of anger, yes, I destroyed it because I was very hurt with the way how things were going.
Well, is it still this
All right.
way?
I told
Yes,
the
it
officer I will come back at any time to clean this mess up. I said, but she is not going to have this in her yard. He said, okay, you come back. She made it very clear that she did not want me to come back and clean
Because
it
she
up.
was angry that you were angry and that you,
Yes, I
you lost your
understand that.
temper, and she doesn't want to deal with that anymore. But at most, if you get somebody to come in, it'll cost you $50 to have somebody
Yeah,
come in
you-
and take all this brick away. They may even do it for nothing, just for the bricks, if you let them take the bricks away. Anything else? Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $50. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Case number 202 on the calendar in the matter of Longs versus Scroggins Body. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Longs, you were injured when a plate glass window was broken and shattered into your car, and you were severely injured, according to your complaint. You had glass all over you, as well as damage to the car, which was not a serious one, and your pet that was in the car was also severely cut. And it is your claim that the defendant's son is responsible for that, and you want him to pay your medical bills, pain and suffering, damage to the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So why don't you tell me where this happened?
Okay, my husband, my younger brother, my dog and I were going to a local fast food restaurant, and we pulled up into the drive-thru and made our order. We pulled around to the window.
Who was driving?
I was driving. And to be honest about it, I didn't know at the time that it was a window. I didn't know if it was a gun. I didn't know at the time what it was.
Tell me what you felt.
Just a million needles just going into my whole body. I mean, it's an indescribable pain. It was just like really, really bad.
After you felt this pain, did you have a consciousness to look around and see what had happened?
When it happened, I had started screaming, and my foot had come off the brake, which had caused my car to roll forward. My husband threw the car up in the park and got out of the car and went into the building.
Is your husband here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Could you step up, please?
I looked down in my lap, and my whole lap was covered with glass that was about that thick. I was afraid to get out of the car because I was afraid from the way I was driving that it would go in between my legs and cut me worse than what it had.
What happened next?
I heard my husband yelling, and I went to get out of the car, and the glass started scraping the insides of my leg. And I went up to the window, and I started to the drive-through window, and I started screaming for my husband to call an ambulance because there was blood.
You were bleeding?
Yes. And I was telling Isaiah to get out of the car, I wanted to see if he was okay. He was okay, he wasn't bleeding. At that time, my dog went like this and put his paws up on the side of my car. And when he did, Your Honor, my dog's paw was all but completely cut off.
Is he okay?
No.
Were they able to save his paw?
Yes. We couldn't let him, you know, look at it or get anything on it. And they give him antibiotics.
But he's home with you?
No, ma'am.
Why?
My dog was so protective over me that he would not let nobody else come near me other than my husband. And my dog attacked a man at my husband's job. And so therefore, we either had to get rid of him or they had to put him to sleep.
So what did you do?
My mother-in-law has him. She has a bigger house than what we do, but he has to stay on a chain.
Okay. So what happened?
It was a little incident at work. It was over a female. Me and the guy got into it.
You and a co-worker got into an argument over a girl?
Yeah, he started.
And what happened when you got into the argument with the co-worker?
Well, apparently our boss separated us. She told me to go home. I went home. I was kind of heated at the time, and I was telling my mom what was going on, so me and my mom went up there.
Okay. Now, so what did you tell your mom? That you got into an argument with this co-worker? Was it over a girl that you knew?
Basically, yes, ma'am. It was his girlfriend.
It was his girlfriend? Had you made advances to this girl, or did he think you had made advances to this girl?
Yes, ma'am.
And what had he said to you during the course of this original argument, before you went home to your mother?
Well, we go get into it, no.
No, I don't know. I don't know what means get into it. Tell me what he said to you, what you said to him.
He said he's gonna kick my, and I told him, man, it's whatever.
You told him whatever?
Yeah.
Now your boss sends you home.
Yes, ma'am.
And then he comes home and he talks to you.
Yes, ma'am.
What did he tell you?
He told me that him and this boy had an argument.
Did he tell you what it was about?
He said it was over some girl.
Did you ask him any specifics?
I asked him, what kind of argument that y'all was in. And he just said, Mama, it was over a girl. He keep messing with me and stuff like that. I said, well, we'll go back to the restaurant. We're going to talk to the young man and the manager and you. We're going to get together to resolve this matter. When we get there, my son goes into the back.
Were you there?
Yes, ma'am, I was
there.
Were you?
No, just a second. Were you in the back with him?
I was in the back when they got to fighting, but when he went back there, no, ma'am.
When you went to the back of the restaurant, your mother was in the front of the restaurant. Who did you see in the back of the restaurant?
I seen him.
The boy?
Yeah.
And? Did you say anything to him?
No, I did.
Did he say anything to you?
He said, what's up now? And I just walked right past him. And I laughed at him like, man, whatever.
You walked past him, you laughed at him, and then where did you go from there?
I went to go to the manager.
Did you get to the manager?
No, because by the time I got to the fry, he had hit me from behind. And he pushed me, tried to run me through the glass, and I caught myself.
Yes?
So I'm still facing him. By the time I brought myself back out, I didn't know she was there.
So far you didn't break the window?
Yes, I did. My back went through the window.
How could you be face to face, sir, if he pushed you from behind?
See, just...
So he hit you from behind, but you didn't go into the window.
No, he hit me, and then when I turned around, he rushed me. He ran me into the window.
Uh-huh.
When he did that, I had, got me a little brace, and my back went through the window, but I came back out the window.
Okay. Now, Miss Scroggins.
Yes, ma'am.
You went to the workplace with your son to have a discussion with a manager.
Yes, ma'am.
So, tell me why you didn't say to your son, you stay out here, I'm going to speak to the manager.
Before I can tell him that, he had already went to the back.
How did you get to the store?
I don't live too far from there.
Did you walk or drive?
Walk.
Shh.
I drove.
Well, you drove, but your son walked. Did he walk behind the car or next to the car? How did that work? He said he walked. You said you drove. So did he jog along aside the car?
No, he was in the car with me.
All right. did you discuss with your son how you were going to handle this situation?
Yes, I did.
And what did you tell him?
I told him we was going to talk to the manager to resolve this problem because he has to have a job. That's exactly what I told him.
Fine. Did you tell him we're going to go in together and speak to the manager?
We went in together.
But then he left you.
I was standing at the counter.
Yeah?
He went behind to where the manager and stuff.
No, he went behind where the boy was.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Shirley Long says she was in a fast food drive-thru when worker Paul Body broke the restaurant's window during a fight. Shirley says the shattered glass injured her and her dog.
Where's the other boy?
He is currently in jail.
For what?
I have no idea. I had to put cases against both of them, and the one was never signed because he is currently in Montgomery County Jail.
Okay. Can I see your bills, please? You still have any embedded glass in your body?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where?
I have it coming out of my left ear. It's in my head still.
You have any photographs?
It had went down into my breast, Your Honor, and it had went up underneath of them.
Okay. I don't have to see any more bills.
Okay.
Miss Scroggins.
Yes, ma'am.
You handled this matter all wrong. If your son comes home and says to you he's had some trouble with a guy where he's working, and the trouble started because of him, and if you want to resolve the situation, then you pick up the phone and you call the restaurant, you get the manager on the phone, and you say, we'd like to come over and have a discussion, all of us. I would like to be able to resolve this matter because my son really needs the job. And if at all possible, maybe we can resolve this dispute between the two boys. Does that sound intelligent?
Yes, ma'am.
Instead, right after the argument, when he was hot, because according to him, he was hot, he was angry, right? When he came home?
Yes, ma'am.
He was angry. You put him in the car and you drive over there because the situation was bad enough for the manager to send him home because he was the wise guy. And instead of saying to your son, you sit out here in one of these little tables, I'm going to find the manager, you let him go in the back where you knew the other guy was. Then the other fellow said to him, what are you doing here? He laughs at him, because that's what he just said. He laughed at him and he said to him, whatever. That's what you just told me.
So, okay, if somebody say they go kick my, then what I'm supposed to do?
Get another job. Go to another restaurant.
No, I got
It's not the
rights
only
to laugh.
fast food restaurant in town. And you don't mess around with somebody else's
You
girlfriend.
said anything about me messing around. I said, I know her. There's a difference from knowing and messing.
Then what you do is you sit down calmly in your mother's kitchen and say, maybe we can resolve this because I didn't do anything wrong. Let's call my boss and go over there sometime after work when nobody else is around, and maybe the boss will die and this other guy will sit down and I'll tell him it's all a misunderstanding. I didn't do anything with your girlfriend. So, is it both of their faults?
I think it is.
Sure, but the other guy's in jail, so he has to pay the whole thing. Because but for the fact that you drove him over there when he was hot and angry, and he went back there and tormented him a little bit, laughed at him. She got hurt. She's suing you for $3,000. It's nothing. She still got glass in her head. It's probably what you have up here. Solid glass. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't like the way that the guy had come out here and tried to fight with my husband after the court was over.
For him to come out and act like he did, I mean, he's just a kid.
It would have been different if it would have happened to him. If the glass would have gotten embedded into his back, he surely wouldn't have probably been out here threatening my husband if he would have felt what I was feeling.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson, Obligacion versus Rogers. Step forward, please.
16-year-old Tabitha Obligacion and her mother, Katrina Johnson, are suing Tabitha's former friend, 20-year-old food service worker Deshaun Rogers, for chipping her tooth.
You're Tabitha? Your mother?
Yes.
It is your claim, Tabitha, that the defendant chipped your tooth
Yes.
while you were sort of fooling around at his mother's house. You want him to pay the bill.
Yes.
What were you doing at his house?
We were supposed to go to a party, but we stopped by his house.
So tell me what happened when you got there.
Well,
Look at me.
We were there for a few minutes, and then Deshaun took my purse and ran into the restroom. And I went in there to get my purse.
You mean just out of nowhere, he got up and grabbed your purse?
Well, yeah, like he was playing, I guess, and then he grabbed my purse. So he ran into the bathroom. I went into the bathroom after him to get my purse. He threw my purse into the bathtub, and then he closed the door. And then he started spraying me with 409, and then he started wrestling with me. And then the next thing I knew, he bumped my head on the sink, and it chipped my tooth. And the next thing I know, my tooth went through my lip, and it started bleeding. And then when he realized what happened, he stopped wrestling with me, and then he opened the door. And I ran out, and I was bleeding, and I realized I was bleeding. And then I went back to realize that my tooth was chipped. And then I went to go find the other half of my tooth, and then I found it, and then I glued it back on with super glue.
Tell me your version of the events, sir.
What had happened was all in the house playing with water.
What do you mean playing with water?
We was squirting water on each other. And what she did was she reached under the counter, she got my mom's spray. It's wood grain spray. So she ran in the bathroom, was playing around. She sprayed it in my eyes. So I walked out the bathroom, and I walked in the living room where everybody else was sitting, and that's when she ran out afterwards. And I ran outside after. I said, "What's wrong, Tabitha?" She said, "I chipped my tooth on your counter." I said, "How'd that happen?" She said, "I slipped when I was spraying the spray."
Tabitha, you left out the fact that you were all sort of fooling around with water.
We weren't fooling around with water.
Were you fooling around with anything?
No, he started spraying with 409, and I didn't have any 409 before that.
I didn't ask you about the 409. I asked you about whether you were all sort of fooling around when you were in his house. You see why it didn't make sense to me that he would just go and grab your purse. From nothing. You were all sitting around waiting for him to change, and he just grabbed your purse and went in the bathroom. So you want to start this again and tell me what you were all doing in the house? Were you there? Step up. Tell me your name.
Nicole.
All right, Nicole. What was going on with the water?
I didn't see that part because I was in the other room.
What were you doing in the other room?
Watching TV, waiting for them to get ready.
So you don't know anything about any water?
Well, I heard them yelling and stuff, but I didn't
What
see
did you
anything.
hear?
I heard her saying stop and let me out the bathroom and stuff like that.
I want you to tell me what happened when you saw her for the first time after she came out of the bathroom.
She was holding her mouth, and she pulled me into the backyard, and she told me what happened.
What did she tell you happened?
She said that she chipped her tooth while she was horseplaying with him.
Horseplaying? Is that what she said? Is that what she said?
Yes.
That's what I figured.
I wasn't.
Is that what you said to your friend?
No, that's not what I said.
Well, why would she lie to me? Because she's telling me the truth. I chipped my tooth when I was horsing around with Sean. Is that what she said?
Not in those words.
Well, what did she say?
She said she chipped her tooth.
No, you didn't finish the statement.
Well, that's what I remember now.
You told me no less than 60 seconds ago that you came outside and she said, I chipped my tooth when I was horsing around with Deshaun. Now you're telling me that was a mistake?
Yes.
Sit down. Now, you want to get back to how were you fooling around with Deshaun?
Well, he got up and took my purse and ran into the bathroom, threw my purse into the bathtub, and then closed the door. So I couldn't get out anyways.
So you had followed him into the bathroom?
Yeah, because he took my purse because I didn't want him looking through it.
Were you laughing?
Was I laughing?
Yeah, with him.
It wasn't a laughing matter.
No, I'm asking you a question. At that point, were you sort of joking around, giving my
no,
purse?
No, because he took my purse, and that wasn't funny to me.
Something doesn't ring true here. Did you ever date him?
No.
So let me see what your dental bills are.
And Deshaun also came to my house because he knew that he had something to do with my tooth being chipped. And he
did.
And he gave me $100, and he also, and Nicole was also there. She did witness this, and she also witnessed him saying that he was going to make more payments because the $100 was not going to just cover the bills.
Absolutely. I absolutely think it was the right thing to do, right?
Yeah,
And tell me why you gave her the $100.
because I felt bad for her.
No, because you felt partially responsible.
Yeah.
Were you there? Step up. Tell me your name.
Dwayne.
Dwayne. Tell me what you saw.
Well, everybody was in the kitchen, like, playing around. Like, I was getting wet with water, too. And them two, they started going towards the back, spraying each other. Both of them was playing around.
What were they spraying each other with?
409 spray. Wood
How many
grain.
spray cans were there?
It was one.
Well, how could they both spray each other? Who had
Like,
the can?
It was like back and forth thing. And I didn't see no purse in the bathroom anywhere.
Wow. How old are you?
16.
And how old are you?
I'm 20.
Should know better. So should you. But since boys develop more slowly, he's probably about the same mental age as you are. Maybe even a little younger. It's true, you know that. Your daughter is partially responsible for what happened. They were fooling around. Immediately after the incident, that's exactly what she told her friend. Do you understand?
I don't believe that, though, because
I don't care what you believe. That's not what important what you believe. The only thing that's important is what I believe. Okay. And what I heard initially from her...
That's not what happened, though.
Yes, it is. They were fooling around. I think that he has to pay something towards what happened. He gave her $100. Half of your bills are $590. He gave her $100. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Which means he owes you $490. That's the judgment of the court. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 257 on the calendar in the matter of Lamont versus Williford. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Lamont, according to the complaint, the defendant is your ex-boyfriend, and you claim that you loaned him some money.
Yes.
The defendant says that you actually owe him money because a while ago you wrecked his car or truck. First, tell me about this truck. You were driving his truck. Under what circumstances?
I believe it was in March of 2000.
Yes.
He drove me to Sacramento to go to court there. And on our way back, I had lived in Sacramento and I received a ticket that I had to go back and pay when I had returned to LA.
Okay.
And on the way back, he asked me to drive so he could sleep. And so I drove. And on the way back, to avoid getting in an accident, I swerved off the road and hit a guardrail.
And there was damage to his car?
Yeah. And he never asked me to fix it.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Cold-hearted. She's lying, Your Honor.
Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished. As long as you are.
We're going to have a problem.
You take any prescribed medication, sir?
No, ma'am, I ain't on no...
Quiet. You take any prescribed medication?
No, ma'am, I ain't on no prescribed medication.
You take any other kind of medication?
No, ma'am.
Then behave yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of car was it that was in this accident?
A Ford Ranger.
What year?
99, I believe.
There came a time when you gave him some money towards having the car fixed, according to you. $1,500?
It actually, because I had wrecked the car and he had never asked me to repay him, I decided that when I got the money that I received in a settlement, that I would take it upon myself to take responsibility for the fact that I did crash his truck, and I gave him $1,500.
Okay, that's not the money that you're suing for.
No.
What money are you suing for?
At the same time that I gave him the $1,500, he also asked to borrow $2,000 because he had gotten into some trouble.
What kind of trouble? Doesn't surprise me.
You know, I don't exactly know, but...
What do you think? Tell me what you think, Miss Lamont.
He had gotten in trouble with the drug dealer.
And he needed $2,000.
Yes.
Did he tell you what would happen to him if he didn't give this drug dealer $2,000?
You know, I could only assume at that time from... You know,
so you gave him the $2,000. That's the money that you're suing for.
that I loaned him, yes.
Now, you had a '99 automobile in the year 2000. Had you purchased it for payments, or had you paid cash for it?
I paid payments, ma'am.
So if you made payments on the car, the bank requires that you have insurance.
That's correct.
And did you have the car fixed after it was in the accident?
Yes, ma'am. I have the papers right here to show that.
He didn't have insurance.
What?
He didn't have insurance.
Well,
he didn't have his license.
You weren't even driving. It ain't your car. You don't know.
Don't speak to her. Remember what I said. Mr. Williford tells me he had insurance, which he must do by law if he's got a financed car. Isn't that right, Bert?
That's absolutely right, Judge.
And I assume that if you had a financed car, they allow you to have some sort of a deductible, usually $500. Is that
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So you had out-of-pocket expense of $500.
No, that's wrong.
Well, how could it be wrong, sir? That's the way insurance works.
Well, I didn't go through insurance, man, because she was an unlicensed driver, and she had made the promise to me that she was going to pay me back the damage. Here's the estimate from the car.
No.
She was
That's
gonna
what
pay
you
me.
have insurance for, Mr. Williford.
Yeah, but then your insurance claims go up. I gotta pay more per month. It wasn't worth it. I'd rather pay the cash and get it fixed at the dealership.
Is that what you did?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. And that's what your choice was. If you asked the plaintiff to drive your car, and according to you, you knew she was an unlicensed driver, then you took that risk. And if you choose not to go through your insurance, she would certainly be liable for the $500 deductible, because that would have been your out-of-pocket expense. You chose not to do that. Now, in addition to the $1,500 that she gave you to fix the car, you said she gave you another $2,000. What do you claim that was for, Mr. Williford?
I had the $2,000 that she gave me was for fixing my car, a down payment towards the $4,800 total damage. I don't know about no $1,500. I only know about $2,000.
Your Honor, I have the return check
May
to
I
me.
see it, please?
It's for $3,100, and also these are the
Well,
statements.
$2,000 and $1,500 does not add up to $3,100. Even I know that.
My money was in my mom's account. Since I had already given him $400, I was only going to give him $1,100 to total $1,500 for what I was giving him, plus the $2,000 he wanted to borrow.
I got you. So to the best of your knowledge, has Mr. Williford had any other trouble with drug dealers?
Probably. That was his lifestyle.
Even when you were together?
I had moved away to Sacramento, and in that time, 6 months period, when I came back, he was a total different person.
Different, not for the better.
No.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Williford?
I'm a musician, ma'am.
You work regularly?
Yes, ma'am.
Where?
Different studios. I'm working on recording a demo right now.
Is there any record that you ever made that Bird might have heard of?
A record that I made that Bert might have heard of? No, ma'am, I haven't released anything yet.
So who pays you?
My corporation that I work with, people that I'm talking to.
And what kind of musician are you?
I'm a rapper, man.
Bird and I don't know about that.
Oh, man, you're missing out. You don't know, hip-hop is live.
I know. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Excuse you, may
All
step
right,
out.
good. Let's go. Everything's all good, man. I'm taking care of my life. I'm going on. It's all good.
Yeah, I needed to get the money that I helped him out with, and he needs to take responsibility for it.
Probably be a loser.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Montero versus Hill. Step forward, please.
36-year-old cleaning supervisor Deborah Montero is suing 47-year-old security guard Isaac Hill. Deborah says during a scuffle between her witness and Mr. Hill, she was injured.
Ms. Montero, it's your claim that Mr. Hill is responsible for some injuries that you sustained when he was in some sort of an altercation with someone that you were with.
Yes, my witness.
And he either pushed or shoved that person. That person went into you, causing you to fall, and that's when you sustained the injuries.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. When did this happen and where?
It was November 24th, the day after Thanksgiving, downtown New Haven in Connecticut. I'm part of the clean team. We take care of cleaning the sidewalks and the curbs.
Okay.
I was cleaning the curbs, standing in the street, and Mr. Sullivan had come up and we were talking.
That's Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, that is. We were talking. He was facing me, so his back was to the mall. Then all of a sudden I heard somebody screaming, that's it, I'm tired of this. And like 2 seconds later, Mr. Hill shoved Mr. Sullivan into me. Mr. Sullivan's elbowed me in the mouth and the chin. I pretty much broke Mr. Sullivan's fall with my face.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deborah Montero says she was injured when Isaac Hill pushed her friend, Sam Sullivan. Isaac says Sam threatened to blow up his car.
How were you injured?
When Mr. Sullivan fell back, he elbowed my chin, jilting my neck and twisting my back.
Did you see a doctor?
At the time, no, I did not. But I started to feel neck and back pain from being snapped back. Eventually, it started to get really bad, so I did need to go see a chiropractor.
And you did. About how long after the November 24th incident did you go to see a chiropractor?
About 1 week later.
Did you ever see a lawyer?
Yes, I did.
When did you see a lawyer?
This was on a Friday, that Monday, the following Monday.
You went to see an attorney?
Yes.
The chiropractor that you went to see, was the chiropractor referred to you by the lawyer?
Yes, yes.
Did you go to work the following week?
The next day is a Saturday. I was supposed to work. I did miss work on Saturday because I went to get out of bed and I was really stiff.
What about the following week? Did you go to work the following week?
Yes. At the time, I was a supervisor. I was unable to perform my duties to the fullest, so I had to have some of my guys, like, take the trash bags out, you know, help me out.
You went to work the entire next week?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Hill, I've read your answer. Tell me what position you hold in this mall, because I assume you were employed by the mall?
I'm the supervisor of security at that mall.
And I assume that you, from your answer, know Mr. Sullivan.
Yes, I've had dealings with Mr. Sullivan.
And I assume that you did not want Mr. Sullivan anywhere around the mall.
I didn't know. That's not true. He was welcome at the mall.
But something happened that day, sir, and you initiated it. You went up to him, correct?
I went up, no. He proceeded in my direction first.
So you tell me your version of what happened. They're standing outside the mall.
I pulled my car up to go into the mall to cash my check that morning. I was off duty, okay? As I approached the mall, he walked in my direction, and because of prior incidents which we have had.
So there have been prior incidents of physical encounters?
Not physical. In his usual manner of threatening. He said, oh, that's your car. He had never seen me in my car before, I presume. And I looked at him, and I didn't respond, and he said, okay, I know what I'm going to do with that car. Boom! And I just took that as a saying, he's going to blow my car up. He proceeded to back up. I guess he looked at my eyes. He saw I'm not the one to be playing with. So I did shove him. I said, do it now, Sam. Why don't you do it now? Okay? As a result, he started, in his cowardice fashion again, backpedaling. Okay? He just backpedaling away from me. And he goes in his pocket. And I see him go in his pocket, and I go, there was a dustpan on the pole. And I picked up the dustpan, because I know, you know, I didn't know what it was in his hand. I couldn't make it out. Then when I seen it was a cell phone, I put the dustpan back down. And I went back into the mall, got my check, came out, and the police were there.
Did they have a discussion with you with regard to the plaintiff's injuries?
When the police arrived, I immediately, he asked me, did you hit this guy? Did you shove this guy? I said, yes. Then I went to start to proceed to explain why I hit him. He said, I don't hear nothing. And he made me go into the mall. He wasn't interested in what I had to say about prior incidents.
Mr. Hill.
I'd like to make one more statement.
Okay.
When I came outside the mall, okay, and she did, now, you know, she did get hit. But the point is,
Mr. Hill.
Okay, I'm sorry. But it wasn't as a result of me pushing her.
Mr. Hill, I'm in charge.
Into her.
Mr.
Okay,
Hill,
I'm sorry.
I'm in charge. Now, you just said something very important. You said she got hit.
Yeah, you'll see as the testimony my witness will describe, which I didn't know.
Okay, you didn't see her get hit.
No.
Tell me your name.
Andrew Peter.
Tell me what you saw with regard to the plaintiff getting hit.
Well, it was like 2 minutes after Mr. Hill pushed Sullivan over there. When he reached for his cell phone, he stepped off the curb. She was still sweeping, coming up, and talking at the same time.
You mean when Mr. Sullivan reached for his cell phone?
Yeah. He stepped off the curb, pulled his cell phone out. That's when she got hit in her face by his hand.
This happened at about the same time as Mr. Hill, according to his testimony, was picking up the dustpan, right?
The dustpan was on the corner.
No.
Right at the corner.
He said, pay careful attention to me, Mr. Hill said he went for the dustpan because Mr. Sullivan reached into his pocket for something.
That's a cell phone.
Right? So when I said to you, the cell phone and the dustpan were about the same moment, that would be correct. Is that right?
Well, like 3 seconds apart.
Seconds apart.
Yeah.
And the cell phone, you assume, or one might assume under the circumstances, was being used to call 911 because Mr. Hill had just shoved him. That be a fair statement?
Fair enough, yeah.
Just answer this question, Mr. Sullivan. Were you getting your cell phone in order to call the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that's what I assumed. And according to you, that's when Miss Hill was hit by Mr. Sullivan's elbow when he reached for the cell phone.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's follow this logically. Mr. Hill was the first one that put his hands on another person by shoving Mr. Sullivan. As a result of you putting your hands on him, Mr. Sullivan reaches in his pocket to call the police. And as a result of that reaching in his pocket to call the police,
Your Honor, please.
Miss Montero gets hit. You acknowledge that she got hit. He acknowledges she got hit, right?
It wasn't by him pushing Sullivan into her.
It doesn't have to be. He caused the chain of events to occur.
He caused the chain of events when he stepped in my direction?
No.
Yes.
Mr. Hill, pay careful attention to me, Mr. Hill. How old are you, sir?
I'm 47 years old. I don't like people running up on me.
I'm not going to be able to make an appreciable change in the way you do business in a relatively short period of time. But you're in charge of security.
I was off duty at the time.
Whether you're off duty or whether you're on duty, a person who's in charge of security at a mall is supposed to be level, right? If someone makes a threat, whether you're on duty or off duty, the mall may say he's off duty because that
This guy's mother makes, or not, I'm not going to say mother, his companion makes death threats at me.
Listen to me. Then what you do, Mr. Hill, if you're in charge of security, you're not just a private citizen. You are in charge of security like a peace officer. That's what it means, peace officer. So if someone is threatening you, and it may be someone who's not operating with a full, full semblance of chromosomes, all right? And that's a possibility, because if somebody makes threats to bomb your car, they're not operating with a full deck. Then what you do is you go inside to the mall, and you call the police, and you say, this man has just threatened me. He's threatened to blow up my car. I want the police to respond. Your response, however, was to push him.
Well, I was traumatized over the fact that in recent altercation, he tried to crawl over a police officer to get at me, and they did nothing. I mean, I felt like the matter had been put in my hands, madam, and no one was doing nothing for me.
Clearly, then that day, you were pushed to the limit, so you acted inappropriately by putting your hands on him as a peace officer. I mean, if the police aren't responding appropriately, then it's your job to do the right thing, not to say, well, I'm going to compound it by doing the wrong thing by putting your hands on somebody. Miss Montero, you have photographs of your injuries?
No, I don't.
I don't need anything else. Listen to me. I'm a really smart lady.
Okay.
And I know what happens when somebody has second thoughts and says, well, because of him, I got hit. And you have a lawyer. The lawyer said, you must be really injured. I'm going to send you to my doctor. Then the lawyer goes to try to settle with the mall, and the mall said, listen, he wasn't even working that day. And then your lawyer cuts you loose, right? Lawyer cut you loose. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in small claims court, Miss Montero.
That is not correct. It's not against the mall. It's for Mr. Hill personally.
Well,
okay.
What I'm telling you is, you got hit in the jaw. The question is, what is that worth?
Okay. My neck and my back snapped back. I had a lot of back pain, a lot of neck pain. Okay.
All right. So you went to the chiropractor who made you feel better?
Somewhat.
Good.
Somewhat.
How much were the chiropractor's bills?
$876.
Okay.
And I
just want to take a look at the chiropractor's bills, please.
Okay, and I have the police report.
Because there really is not much of a dispute. I've already found that as a result of Mr. Hill's actions, you got hit. And Mr. Hill wasn't acting as a peaceful officer. He let the history with Mr. Sullivan get in the way. Okay. Mr. Hill, you are responsible for the chiropractic bills, which ultimately the plaintiff will have to pay. There's $876 worth of chiropractic bills. And in addition, I am awarding her the sum of $2,000 because but for your actions, she would not have been hit in the face. And she was, in fact, hit in the face. And she was hit in the face because you did the wrong thing. And you got to pay for that. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $2,876. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. Your Honor, this is case number 190 on the calendar in the matter of Sheftel versus DeRosa. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Don't bring out, okay, don't touch anything. Mr. Sheftel, according to your complaint, you are in the business of making customized chocolates.
Yes, ma'am.
And the defendant had been a customer of yours for some time.
Yes.
There came a time when she ordered a customized item.
Correct.
Which you claim you delivered to her, put on a credit card.
Correct.
She stopped payment on the credit card and returned the chocolate.
Yes.
You say there was nothing wrong with the product and you want her to pay for it.
Correct.
Mr. Rosa says the product was defective and delivered late, right?
Yes, my horse looked deformed.
Okay. How long had she been a customer of your business?
About 5 or 6 years.
With no problem?
Never had a problem.
What kind of customized chocolates had she ordered previously?
The coins, I brought these to show you. They're customized chocolate coins with an imprint with her company or horse's name on them.
Fine.
And she ordered by the thousands.
And what was this customized order that she made when she returned the order?
Okay, she had placed an order for thousands of chocolate coins. She came to pick them up on Valentine's Day, one of my busiest days of the year. While she was picking them up, she was on her way to a horse show. She asked if there was anything new that we're doing. You know, she's always interested in something different. And I showed her the photo chocolates that we do. That is an imprint of, you give us a photograph and we make it into the chocolate, and the whole thing is edible. She was all excited. She happened to have with her a picture of her horse, which is on the back of a phone card that she gives out as a promotional item. She gave it to me.
Can I see it, Bert?
I went into the back and I said, if you want, I'll make one up real quick for you. I can do that. So I went into the back and I made one very quick for her, just to give her an idea. This is the exact sample that I made for her.
Let me see.
No, I ate the sample. I have an eating disorder. I ate the sample.
Listen, Mr. Rosa, don't speak until I speak to you.
Sorry.
Don't look back there. Look here. Don't forget. Don't speak. Okay, so this, you say, is the sample you made for her.
Yes, here. This is the finished product that we actually shipped out, several hundred of these.
Okay.
And you can take them out of the box if you'd like.
Just a minute. I don't want to take them out of the box. Okay. Okay. How many of these did she order?
200.
And what was the price?
The total came to $562.50.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. The chocolates are done individually handmade, so it's not like they're done through a machine and they're all identical. They're all done by hand. Okay, we take the picture that she gave us, which you have, and we make a master sheet of them.
Listen to me. I don't plan on going into the chocolate business.
Okay.
So I'm not interested on how you do it and whether it's a good product or not good product. Listen carefully. Okay. Bird, don't eat the chocolate. That's the evidence. When did you ship out this chocolate?
The chocolate was shipped out exactly 1 week later on the 20th, and it arrived in Arizona where she needed it the next day on the 21st at 9:25 and arrived in signed for at 11:19 in Scottsdale.
Okay, she got it.
She got it within a week.
Good.
I get a call from her. She said she didn't get it in time. I said, well, what do you mean you didn't get it in time? We shipped it out. Well, she said she needed it for a party. I said, well, I was never told that you needed it for a party. This was a last-minute order. We told you we'd get it there by the end of next week. So I knew nothing about the show. That was the first thing. Then she said, well, she didn't like the way they looked. I said, well, what's wrong with them? And I never really got a correct answer from her.
Okay, let me find out. There's no question that you received the goods on the 21st of February,
Yes.
and there's no question that you stopped payment on your credit card of $562.50.
Yes.
Okay, now explain to me why.
We went in, as you said, and I'll make this very brief. He showed us the chocolates. I gave him this card, which you have in your hand. I said, could I have a sample? The reason why I brought up the eating disorder, he brought it, and I wanted to keep the sample, but we ate it on the way to Scottsdale because there's no way that chocolate can last around me. So I said to Frank, it was beautiful. I said, Frank, please make this up for the show. He sent them a day late, which I said, okay.
Just a minute. It was exactly a week later that you received them, which seems totally reasonable. So the time is not the issue.
The issue is we go through great lengths to put my horse in the best light possible. On this Visa receipt, we not only have the chocolates, but we have the gold coins. The only thing I took out of this was the chocolates, and if you look at them, it makes my horse look deformed.
Well, let me see them.
The very reason,
just a second.
to do this is to promote something and give this to people. And I don't know if he's changed the chocolates, kept the chocolates.
These are the exact chocolate.
You didn't make new chocolates.
No,
Can I see the box,
They were shipped
please?
back. And I want to point out there were 2 boxes that were shipped. She shipped back the second box with never even opened it when she got it. It was completely closed the way we sent it.
All right, let's take a look at some of these randomly, all right?
And he never said they were each one was separate and they would have a different look, or I wouldn't have done it.
Well, let me ask you this question. Could you take a look at this one and tell me what's wrong with it?
All right, well, what I wanted to start to say was the chocolate... Okay.
Just look.
Yes.
Tell me what's wrong with that.
You have a little bit on the picture there.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like a little bit of a discoloration. What I wanted to start to say was these chocolates were shipped from the candy factory in North Hollywood to Arizona. They went from Arizona, I don't know how, to Solvang, and then shipped back from Solvang to the candy factory 3 weeks later. So they left. I packed them myself. They were great. I don't know what condition they were traveled by. This is perishable chocolate. Considering all the travel they
Well, then let me see. Is that the box that came back unopened?
Yes, I opened it before we came here to make sure.
May I see that
Yes.
box, please?
And it says on the side of the box.
Just a second. I don't care where it went to, before or after, or whatever else. This one she opened. This one,
And she
according
removed
to
10 of those bars also and sent it back.
This one, according to you, she did not open.
Correct.
And it came back to you unopened.
Correct.
So she just opened the first one, took a look at them, saw some that were defective.
That's what she says.
Well, I see some that were defective. Here you say it may have happened later.
Correct.
So let's take a look randomly at some of these. Bird, take out some of these for me. Help me out here, would you? I went to law school for this.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chocolate maker Frank Sheftel says Timmy DeRosa refuses to pay for the custom-made chocolate she ordered. Timmy says the chocolates were deformed.
Okay. Could you tell me why this makes your horse look deformed?
Well, this particular one doesn't. This one is faded. Would you hand this to somebody if this was the Judge Judy thing, a gavel, and your whole gavel was halfway off?
I wouldn't give somebody a picture of myself that they could eat.
Well, you know what? That...
And that's the point. These are edible. In 2 minutes, they're gone.
Then don't have beautiful ones to show.
Are you talking to each other? Don't irritate me. This case is irritating me enough.
You cannot hand these out. There's some of them where their eyes are popped, where their eyes are bulgy. This is faded. You can't give this to somebody. These are multi-$1,000 horses. His stud fee's $3,000. We ship semen all over the country.
Could I please have that back? Listen, what
I
I
would
don't
not
understand,
hand
Miss,
any
I'm
of this to
speaking,
anybody.
I'm speaking. Mr. Sheftel, something that I don't understand from a business perspective. Thank you. She's absolutely right that they're faded. But shh, I'm speaking. They're all faded.
6 months old.
No, they're all faded. I have no idea what they looked like before, but certainly these are faded. I don't see that they're deformed, but this isn't an oil painting. This is done in chocolate. What I don't understand from a business perspective, Mr. Sheftel, is this was a customer of yours for 6 years.
Yes.
So if she says she's dissatisfied with this part of one order that she made, it seems to me good business practice would be to say, I'll take the chocolate, I'll either eat it, or I'll mix it up in a vat, or I'll make new chocolate out of it, or I'll do something with it, but I'm not going to lose a customer of 6 years over one order. So explain that to me, because I come from a retail family, and I don't understand
So do
that.
I. The candy factory's been in business for 23 years.
This is not an advertisement for
No,
you,
I
sir.
understand
So
that, but what I'm
explain
trying
me-
to say is we don't put out an inferior product. What you're seeing here is chocolate that is now 7 months old, okay? And it fades. Chocolate, as you know, fades. These were in prime condition. Maybe there was something wrong with the shipping. Maybe they were left in the sun. I don't know. When they were shipped back to me, I opened them, I looked at them. There was nothing wrong with them.
Listen, what would be the reason for the defendant, she had been a good customer, to order them and then send them back to you? She clearly liked what you did. She came to your place. She ordered it off.
She's called me since then to place another order. She called me 2 months ago to place an order.
No, what I said is do them right, and I will buy them.
No, your husband called me and asked me if he could place an order, and I said, we still have
An
this
order for
outstanding.
what?
For more chocolates.
No.
Hey! For what kind of chocolate?
We didn't even get that far.
Okay, because you said you still have this outstanding issue.
And another point I'd like to make is, she says that I could give them out as samples. I've shown them to people, actually. I do show them. I have one in the case. I think there's nothing wrong with them.
They're faded. Shh. They're faded and they're not great. And your customer didn't like them. I believe that she acted in good faith by returning them almost immediately. She said, I don't like the way they look.
It wasn't immediately. She took 10 or 15 out of one of the boxes.
Just a minute, did you take any out of the box?
When the boxes actually got there, everyone looked through them, and then they said, look, this one's deformed, this one's deformed, and the person that does the advertising...
Answer my question.
I don't know if there may be some out of the boxes that we handed out.
Well, then you pay for half. You can't use some. I don't care if you use 5 or 10 or 15 and say, I don't want the rest. The rest are no good.
No, that's not the point at all. That is not what happened at all.
It's exactly what happened.
No, it's not. Actually, I showed people how deformed they were.
And you didn't put them back. If you showed them how deformed they were and you didn't put all the items back because somebody took them, somebody ate them.
I told you then.
Don't talk to him!
No, I told
Talk
Frank
to me.
then. I told him then. I said, count them when you get them. I would not go to hell over $20.
So some people did take some.
No, not as a promotional item.
I don't care what they took them as.
No, I did not hand them out. They were at the barn. And I said, we cannot use them. Look at this. And everyone said, these look awful. We called Frank. I had no...
Madam, you're not answering my question. I don't care whether you used them as a promotional item or whether you gave them away as Christmas presents or you gave them to the Easter Bunny. Somebody ate them, and it wasn't him. Okay, as I said to you, and I'm not going to waste another second on this case, I think it's very bad business to sue a good customer. But I also think that you can't accept partial order, use some of the partial order, send the other one back without even having opened it, and say, they're probably all no good. So, listen to what I'm telling you. You see the box that you didn't open? That's this box, Bert? Which box didn't she open? That one?
Yep.
And we took a whole bunch out of this, right?
Yeah, Your Honor.
Quiet! I don't want to hear another thing. I got important business to take care of. There. You see that box? This came from here. This one is his order. That one is his sample. You see that box? Give it to her. She just bought half an order. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $280. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He usually makes excellent products, and this time he didn't, and that's a shame.
It's a reflection of the horse. That's what the horse looks like. If it's deformed, it's because the horse is deformed.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lyons versus Mason. Step forward, please.
30-year-old child care provider Tara Lyons is suing her ex-boyfriend, 28-year-old lab technician James Mason, for unpaid rent and a car loan.
Ms. Lyons, according to your complaint, you met the defendant on the internet.
Yes.
A tool that I don't use very well. And then you met.
Yes.
When did you meet?
We met about August of 2000.
And then there came a time when you decided to live together and he moved in with you.
Yes. And it was kind of like iffy and off and on for about 2-3 weeks, and then he permanently stayed there. He moved all his stuff in.
When?
All about September of 2000. And then in October, he moved his stuff out of our room into a spare bedroom that I have.
And he was staying there as a tenant?
Yes, he was staying there as a tenant.
That must have been uncomfortable.
Not really. We still had conjugal visits.
That's more information than I needed. Okay.
The arrangement was that when he moved out of our bedroom into the spare bedroom, I said, well, if we're going to live like roommates, then you need to pay rent. And so we agreed on $200, and he was going to start paying in November 1st.
Okay. When did he make his first month's rent payment?
He never did.
When did he move out?
He moved his body out on the 2nd. He moved the remainder.
2nd of what?
The 2nd of January. He removed the remainder of his stuff around between the 18th and the 22nd of January.
So by January, he's gone. November, he's supposed to pay rent. You say he never paid rent, so he's got November and December rent.
And 2 days in January.
Forget 2 days in January. Stop being silly. What else do you claim he owes you?
He owes me little odds and ends, like he needed $40 here. And
I don't want to hear $40 here and $40 there.
Okay, well, I kept track of it.
Did he sign a note for the money?
No, I wrote it in front of him, and he agreed to it.
You remember that?
No.
That she wrote a note in front of you and you agreed to it?
Right before I moved out.
Oh, just to answer my question.
All right.
You don't remember her writing down little pieces of paper?
I remember her handing me a note.
And the note said that you owed her how much?
Like $600.
You have the note that you gave him?
I have the receipt from the first payment after he had left. On January 20th, he paid me $100 to be deducted from the $610.43 that he owed. So he owed me $510.43.
That sound right? Look at me.
I don't know.
Look, January 20th, 2001.
Yeah.
You gave her $100.
Uh-huh.
That leaves a balance of $510.43. After January 20th, 2001, did you give her any more money?
Yes.
Show me.
Right here.
Good. Okay. Did he give you any money on February 18th?
Yes, he gave me another $100.
Right. How come you didn't tell me that?
No, I just said I had a receipt for the first 100.
Okay.
He gave me
And
another
did he-
100.
And he gave you another 100 on April 15th.
No, he did not.
Show me that you gave her another $100 on April 15th.
That's all I have. And she would call me and say, you know, it's almost payday. And she'd say, are you going to have some money for me? And I'd say, yeah, Tara, I'll have some money for you. And I'd come over and I'd drop off the money and give it to her.
No, he didn't. We would have emailed each other back and forth, which means I would have had records of it through email. Most of my stuff, my information is through the emails. That's how I know exactly how much he owes me. My last email from him was on May 9th. I wrote him, it says, I haven't heard from you. I'm still waiting for you to pay me on May 11th. On May 10th, he wrote me, no, I will not be stopping by. I cannot afford to pay you this month, maybe next month. May 16th, I wrote him back. I will write you in June. On June 1st, I wrote him, okay, what day of this month is good for you? This was at 9:29 p.m. On June 1st at 9:49 p.m., he wrote me back, none. Then on June 2nd, I had wrote him back, why is it taking you so long to pay me back? You owe me less than $420. On the 4th at 7:06, he wrote me, I will not be paying you. I cannot afford anymore. Sorry.
Well, he owes you right now
$410.43.
Right.
I don't know where that money.
You have those communications with her?
Yeah, I send her the emails, but I mean,
Mr. Mason, according to this piece of paper that you gave me, you owe her $310.
yeah.
All right? Let's assume that I take your figure as accurate, which I'm not guaranteeing I'm going to do. Why didn't you pay her the $310?
Because I don't owe it to her.
Just a minute. You just handed me this piece of paper, sir.
Yeah.
According to this piece of paper, your evidence, you still owe her $310. Why didn't you give her the $310 that, according to your piece of paper, you still owe her?
I don't say that I owe her that other $300.
I do. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $410. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. This is case number 173 on the calendar in the matter of Truslow versus Walker Carter. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Truslow, the defendant, Mr. Carter,
Yes.
was a former boyfriend of yours.
Yes.
The co-defendant, Miss Walker, is his current girlfriend. They have a child together. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, Ms. Truslow, the two of them assaulted you.
Yes.
They say you started the whole problem, you precipitated the assault, and they are counterclaiming for harassment. So that's what this case is about.
Yeah.
When did this happen?
It happened on January 11th of this year. But the night before it happened, on January 10th, I had stopped by his cousin's house. At the time, I was 6 months pregnant with his daughter. And I stopped by there, and I go inside, and he walks me into the kitchen, and he's like, you know, me and Yolanda got back together because they dated in high school, and he was like, but I really don't want to be with her. I want things to work out with you. I was like, okay, and he was like, well, call me later. So I leave.
How many children do you have?
One.
With this lady?
Yeah.
You have a child?
Yes, we go Monday for the blood test.
We already took the paternity test on our half. We just
I
waiting
have
on
to
her.
go Monday, so. But here's a picture of her if you'd like to see. I don't know. But anyway, so then I leave, and he
How
was
old
like,
are you?
how old am I? I'm 18.
And how old are you?
21.
What do you do for a living?
Work. Work.
Could you stand still? Try standing still. What kind of work do you do?
Work at Burger King.
Burger King. Go ahead.
Okay.
So he's in the kitchen and he's smooching with you.
Yeah,
You're 6 months pregnant, and
yeah.
he says, I'm back with her, but I don't want to be back with her. I really want to be back with you.
Yeah. So
Go
then he
ahead.
tells me to call him later on. He was going to a game or something, whatever. So I called him that
You ought
night.
to be
and
going
he
to his
wasn't-
second job.
Huh?
Go ahead, nothing.
Oh, so I called him that night and he wasn't there. I had a doctor's appointment at 10 o'clock the next morning. So I go by his house. I had never seen her before. I'd never met her before until
Is
that
this your
day.
first child?
This is my first child. So I go by his house and he stayed in the basement. So I go around to the basement. I was on my way taking my
What did
friend
you go to his house for?
to see if he wanted to go to the doctor with me, because he had told me to call him the night before, and because he had already went to
Why
one
didn't you
doctor's
call him?
appointment. I did call him, but I didn't call him that morning. I was on the way.
Why didn't you call him that morning?
I don't know. I didn't know that she was going to be there. I had no idea. I mean, the day before he was telling me, that he wanted to get back with me. If she was going to be there, I wouldn't have never came. So I go by there and knock on the door, and Yolanda answers the door. And I was kind of surprised, and I was like, well, is Josh here? And so he comes to the door, And I was like, you know, what's going on? Why last night you're telling me that you want to work things out and she's here? And he was like, you know, he really didn't say too much. So me and him go into the other room. It's like a laundry room in their house, and we're in there talking. And I'm questioning him, you know, why did you say this if you really didn't want to work things out? Well, Yolanda's like, well, I heard you wanted to fight me and da-da-da. And I was like, you know what, I didn't come down here to fight you. I just came down here to talk to Josh. So me and him are in the other room talking, and his mom has like a stick that she used to hold her sliding glass door with. And Yolanda hits me in the back of the head with it, and it breaks in two. Well, I turn around to like defend myself. She's pulling my hair, hitting me with the other half of the stick, and Josh steps in between us and pushes me down on the left seat. And I'm trying, every time I try to get up, he's still pushing me down, and she's pulling my hair, hit me with the other half of the stick. And so his grandma comes downstairs, and so then they both back up. The other half of the stick had like flew kind of to the other side of the room where the door was. So I get up off the couch and I'm crying, and I was like, fine, if you wanted to fight like that, then I'm going to go get you locked up. So I grabbed the other half of the stick. I leave out the door, and I'm all upset.
Why'd you grab the other half of the stick for?
Because I was going to use that as evidence to show that's what she hit me with. But I was at my car with my door open, willing to leave. I was not, you know, trying to start anything else. They come outside. He walks over to my car and pushes me, jerks the stick out of my hand, and tells me to get the F on. So I go home, I tell my mom, and we go get warrants on both of them. And then I went by and saw my obstetrician to make sure that my baby was okay. They did the little heart monitor thing. She said everything was fine, and if I had any problems, any bleeding or anything, to make sure I went to the emergency room. The next morning when I woke up, I was in a lot of pain. My neck, my shoulders were really sore. I was having cramps in my stomach, I guess, from trying to get up and down off the couch. So I go to the emergency room, and I have the copy of that right here. So if you need,
she didn't bring that to the first.
It's kind of faded. So, but when we went to court, they didn't question Josh.
You were arrested.
No, we weren't arrested.
Yeah, I have that right here.
There was a trial.
There was a trial, yes.
And you were acquitted.
What does that mean?
Found not guilty.
Yeah, yeah.
What about you?
Dismissed.
No. He was found not guilty. Her case was dismissed.
He was found not guilty.
Yeah, and he didn't even say anything.
Shh. Okay. And her case was dismissed when?
The same day. They tried both of them at the same time.
So they were both found not guilty?
No. They had two lawyers against my one, okay? It was really...
Stop! Of course they had two separate lawyers.
I know
you
that,
don't have your own lawyer. You have the
I
district
understand
attorney.
that.
Fine. So both found not guilty. Either you're guilty or you're not guilty. Whether you're dismissed, whatever. You're not guilty.
Okay.
Okay. Fine. Now, shh.
Okay.
I don't understand one thing, madam. You said to me a moment ago when you started this discussion with me, you said that you would never have gone to the house if you knew she was there.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you said that when you went to the house that morning, instead of calling first,
Okay.
Why don't you receive instead of talking?
I'm listening.
Good. And if you saw her because she answered the door, why didn't you just leave?
I didn't know I was going to get beat up, you know?
Try answering my question. You got a hot temper. You're not helping your case.
Sorry.
You told me if you knew she was there, you never would have gone.
Yes.
She opens the door. You see she's there. Why didn't you leave?
Because I still wanted to find out what was going on.
Well, why don't you find out what was going on by picking up the phone and calling sometime later and saying, hey, Josh, what's going on?
Yeah, I could have done
good.
that.
Now, tell me your version of these events.
It started off 2 days prior to the day of the fight. I had came by to drop my daughter off. I was going to my cousin's house or whatever, and Josh and her were on the phone. I guess they were arguing or whatever on the phone, but he ended up hanging the phone up on her, and when he got off the phone, he told me, he said, Nikki says she's going to F you up. And I was like, why is she saying that? I don't even know this girl. Never seen her a day before in my life. Okay, then the phone rung again.
Did you stop right there? Did you have a conversation with the plaintiff a couple of days before this incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you call her or did she call you?
She called me.
What did she say when she called you?
She just wanted to know what was going on.
What was going on? What do you mean, what was going on?
Me and her getting back together.
And what did you say to her?
I said, we're not getting back together.
Did she at that point say anything about Miss Walker?
Yeah, she said she was going to F her up.
Did she say why?
No, ma'am.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tabitha Truslow says ex-boyfriend Josh Carter and his fiancée, Yolanda Walker, assaulted her with a stick.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so after he told me that, the phone had rung again, and so I answered. He told me, he said, if it's Nikki, tell her I don't want to talk to her, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so I answered the phone, and she goes, is Josh there? And I was like, he doesn't want to talk to you. So then I asked her, you know, why did you tell him that you're going to F me up and you don't even know nothing about me? She was like, well, as soon as my car gets back here, I'll be over there to fight you. That night, she came over there with 2 girls. I was not there. His mother and Josh was there, and she and 2 other girls that came over there to fight me.
Did you go over to his house 2 days before?
I did not.
Did your mother see her over there?
Yes, ma'am.
If I called his mother, would she say that you were over there 2 days before?
I don't know, but...
oh, she probably would.
But also, could I...
Don't say anything other than answering my questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. What happened when she came over a couple of days before this incident?
She just started cussing and talking about she was going to beat her up with, where's Yolanda at?
Go ahead.
Okay, then the next day, which was the 10th, it was on a Wednesday, I had went to go pick them up from his cousin's house. I gets there, he comes and tells me, Nikki came out here today, talking about she's going to beat you up again, and she came by the house last night, and my 3-year-old daughter at the time overheard her say that...
Don't tell me what anybody overheard.
Okay, well, Thursday comes, it's about 9 o'clock in the morning, and she knocks on the door, I go answer the door, she walks in the house, uninvited. I asked her, I said, well, why did you, you know, say this stuff about me around my daughter? That was the main point. She said, Yolanda, I didn't come down here for this, da-da-da-da-da-da.
No, don't do da-da-da-da-da-da-da. She didn't say da-da-da-da-da. I didn't come here for this. Go ahead.
She said she didn't come here for this, and that, you know, she only wanted to talk to Josh or whatever. And I told her, I said, Nikki, I said, next time, don't come over here no more. She was just like, well, I can come over here anytime I want. I said, well, don't come over here while I'm here. So then she was like, B-I-T-C-H, da-da-da-da-da, something. And then I'm sorry with the da-da-da-da-da. But it ended up where she was like, I'll whip your da-da-da-da, whip your butt. And then so I was like, you ain't gonna do nothing. So at this time, they were at the sliding glass door. Josh was like, probably like this to her. And she was behind him, and she was like, I'll whip your da-da-da-da-da. Shoot, I got her happy with it. And so she said, I'll whip your butt or whatever. And so I got up, you know, I was sitting on the couch. So I said, you ain't gonna do nothing. I said, but I know you better not come over here next time. So she had grabbed the stick, and she was like, what, like that? She came at me with the stick. I grabbed the stick from her. And when she had did like this, I grabbed it like this, and I took it from her, and I hit her with it. And then from there, we had wrestled, and I ended up tossing her on the couch. I had completely dropped the stick by then. The stick was on the floor when she picked it up. And I was just hitting her in the head. Josh came in between us and grabbed me and, you know, took my hand out of her hair or whatever. And then she ran to get the stick, and then she ran out the house, and the first thing we thought was, oh, my car. I thought she was going to bust the windows out of my car, because she just ran out of the house with the stick in her hand.
So he ran out and got the stick? Yeah,
he ran out and got the stick from her.
Okay. Let me hear about your counterclaim.
Okay, about the counterclaim.
Make sure it's a good one, unless you want to withdraw it.
She has harassed us the whole time. She calls the house. We had to get the number changed. She goes to his job.
Can I say something? No.
She goes to his job, tells him he shouldn't marry me. She talks bad about me.
He must be some bargain.
Try to get it.
He must be really a bargain. Do you have any money in a Swiss bank account? You have a Swiss bank account?
No.
That maybe they don't know about, or they do know about?
She tried to get a job where I worked there, too. That's why.
At Burger King?
Yes, ma'am.
And he ended up...
And I ended up quitting.
And then she didn't want the job there anymore.
So that's harassment?
Mm-hmm. It's been a lot of issues. She sent mail to the house.
You don't have a lawsuit for harassment. 2 women probably have a lawsuit for stupidity against somebody.
Could I say something, ma'am?
No, say nothing. You made a mistake. Probably you did too. Your mistake is 3 years old, and your mistake is a newborn.
My daughter's
because,
mistake.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Because it tied you permanently to him. That means you 2 women are tied permanently to him when you were children. Children. Children having children is stupid. Children who don't know how to behave themselves is stupid. So don't tell me you're not stupid, and don't tell me these 2 children weren't mistakes. Big time. Now, you had no business going over there. I absolutely believe her that you were there before, that you had some inclination that that's where she stayed.
I didn't know.
Then you should have seen her at the door, closed the door, and left.
I just wanted to
I
make
don't
sure
believe you. Listen to me very carefully, madam. You had
Can I
no
also say
business.
something?
Say nothing. Your case is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. Next time, I want you to both, if you have any extra bucks, go to the store, by birth control. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
No, it's real. Just leave us alone.
She can have them and have 10 kids by them.
Please, don't get involved with people like her. Please don't.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Durham versus Creech, step forward, please.
18-year-old baseball player Justin Durham is suing his ex-fiancée, 19-year-old waitress Kara Creech, for the return of an engagement ring. Kara is countersuing for the return of her class ring.
Mr. Durham, you and the defendant were engaged to be married. It didn't work out. You want the engagement ring back.
That's right.
Ms. Creech says that you have some property of hers, you have a class ring, and there are some other expenses that she believes that are your responsibility as a result of this failed wedding. She is counterclaiming. She said you didn't pay for these rings yourself. There was some down payment made by her mother. So when did you become engaged?
Well, it was about 4 months ago.
Look at me.
I had asked her mom to help me with $100 to make the down payment on the ring. So she did. With no more than 3 days later, I gave her a crisp $100 bill.
Did he give you back the $100?
Yes, he just didn't pay the 10. I gave him 110, that was all.
Fine, so that's a wash. So that's taken care of. So other than the down payment, initially, you paid for the ring?
Right.
So 4 months ago, are you laughing? Is this funny?
No.
Good. 4 months ago, you became engaged. And for how long were you engaged?
For about five months.
1 month.
Just a second. Mr. Durham, I'm not very good at math. If you became engaged 4 months ago and you were engaged for 5 months, then we're talking about Back to the Future. Do you understand? How long were you engaged?
About a month and a half.
And what happened?
She cheated on me.
No, that's not true, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a result of that, you say the engagement was broken.
Right.
You broke the engagement.
No, she did.
Can I see the ring, please? Who has the receipt for the ring?
I do.
I have one too.
Can I see both, please? How much did you pay for this ring?
$549.
No. You have a ring and then there's a bridal set.
I have the other piece. It was a set. It wasn't a separate piece.
Well, it's billed separately, sir. One says $371 and the other item was $128. So here we have the engagement ring. Now, is the engagement ring $371? Let's get it together, please. I mean, this is not, I've got a secret. Would you answer me?
Yes.
Yes, what?
The ring was $400.
$371.
$371, sorry.
Where's the other piece of this, the $128 set? You have that?
Right.
Can I see it, please? Okay. Very nice. And I see it's a nice little set because one of these things fits in here like this. I don't know how it does it. I'm never very good at that. There you go. Very pretty. Okay. So here's this piece back. Now, he gets them both. Engagement ring. Engagement's off. Engagement ring is given in contemplation of marriage. No more engagement. He gets the ring back. Return them. Sell them. Contemplate them. Now let's get to your counterclaim. Do you have her class ring?
Yes, I do.
Where is it? Perfect. Look how easy this is going to be. It's going to be a piece of cake. Class ring. He gets the receipts. She gets the class ring.
Got it.
Perfect. Now she's got a class ring back. Now, miscellaneous wedding expenses that you think he should pay for. You say you broke off this engagement.
Yes.
Tell me why.
Because I have a 1-year-old son and I am not putting what he does around my son. He came to my house one night and he was high and he was drunk.
Okay. And you thought it was a bad idea?
Yes.
So you broke off the engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a wedding dress and some little wedding expenses.
Yes.
Then you made a good choice. You pay for those. You should have thought twice about becoming engaged to somebody that you knew for a relatively short period of time. Right?
Yes.
So consider yourself very lucky. Dye your engagement dress another color. Yellow. Use it again. And if he was the wrong person for you, it's a very cheap price. Right?
Yes.
Good luck. Everybody's got their property back? Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 259 on the calendar in the matter of Allen versus Allen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. Allen, the defendants are your son and daughter-in-law, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And is your claim that they owe you jointly a substantial amount of money, both from loans and from a cell phone bill that they managed to creep up to the thousands? Mr. Allen, you were in jail. When?
The first time for 4 years, and then just this past November till this year.
You served 4 years in state's prison?
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
From 97 until September of last year, 2000.
September of 2000. What were you convicted of, sir?
Arson, 451C.
What did you burn down?
Condemned apartment complex.
Then you were arrested again?
Mm-hmm.
For what?
A parole violation.
What was the nature of the violation?
A threat to harass another and leaving the county without a pass.
Who did you harass?
A former employer, supposedly.
Is the complaint of your parents that when you got out of jail, I believe the first time in the year 2000, you needed some money, and they helped you with a series of loans. How much did you give your son when he got out of jail the first time in 2000?
About $1,400.
How do you have that broken down?
$65 in uniforms, $60 for gas, and what he told me was birth control pills, $150 cash for expenses. He told me they needed money for food. We gave him $100. And then he switched jobs after he got arrested the second time, and he needed $60 for steel-toed shoes this time. We gave them $450 for rent while they were still living in their old apartment, $15 for DMV fees that he conveniently didn't have the day he had to go to the DMV, $85 for gas, usually, $20 here, $40 here, $200 for carpet for their rental, and $150 cash for miscellaneous expenses. And when we were on vacation in July, he called us and said he needed $80 to make his car payment. So we gave him that.
Miss Allen, did you have a conversation with your son with regard to paying you back this money?
Several times. It was always going to be paid back on payday, when they could get it or when he got paid from a separate job that he was doing. Each time the money just disappeared.
Well, but you kept giving him money, Miss Allen.
Well, because every time I asked him for money, he hinted that I was taking food out of my grandchildren's mouths.
So despite the fact that he didn't pay you back any of this money, week after week, month after month, he would ask you for more, $15, $100, $85, and you would continue to give it to him.
He did pay back some money. He did. He gave my husband $100 at the mall one day, $40 here, $20 here, a total of $435. So
Well,
just enough to keep me doling it out, I guess.
So what's the total of what you say he owes you now, without the phone bill?
$1,415.
And did you keep records of that money at the time that you actually gave him the money, or did you recap in your head at some later time?
I wrote it down in my, I have an address book. I just wrote it down, how much I gave him, but I didn't write dates or anything. I just wrote it down so I could keep track. So when I said, hey, you owe me this much money, I would at least know how much.
Okay. Now tell me about the telephone bill.
He had some problems, and he said that his wife would feel a lot better if she had a way to get a hold of him, which, knowing his track record, that was a good idea. She needed a way to get a hold of him. So he asked me if I would get a cell phone in my name. I already had one, and my husband and I both have cell phones, and he said he would pay the monthly bill on that.
And did he do that?
He paid one bill of $144 because the phone got disconnected, and I just wasn't going to pay it anymore.
How much is still owed on his bill?
It totals $2,008.05. And to date, on both the cell phone and the loan, he's only paid $435.
How hear you?
There's a lot to be told, Your Honor. We'll start with the loans, the miscellaneous loans. When I came home, my wife was working between 40 and 60 hours a week and making over $2,000 a month. We didn't borrow money from her when I first came home the first time. We had no need to borrow money from her. I had $200 gate money that, a substantial amount of money for me to have to be home and find a job and get work. I remember her offering to pay for uniforms. I've never once, there's a lot of things in her list of loans that she said, as for example, for rent for the new house or carpet for the new house. We moved out less than a mile from her house to where she could be closer to the grandkids. It was kind of like a helping thing. I had to get away from the place where I was, so she helped us out. It was her friends we rented the house from.
Is what you're saying, Mr. Allen, that you didn't take this money from your mother?
No, I didn't call her and say, Mom, I need money, please. You're taking food out of my kid's mouth. I would never say that to her.
That's not what I asked you. What I asked you was, Are you telling me that your mother is lying when she says that she gave you, over a period of time, $1,415 in small amounts for a variety of things? Shoes, uniforms, gas money, a month's rent, money for carpeting. Are you telling me that she's lying when she's telling me that?
I'm not saying she's lying about those things, but as for her to say that she loaned it to us and said, okay, you'll give it back to me, the agreement was, here you go. It wasn't, Mom, I need money, I'll give it back to you on Friday when I get paid. Mom,
Well, how
I'll
would
give you
she
money.
know that you needed money?
We would be talking. You see, my mom keeps everything
No, listen
close.
to me. How would she know that you needed money? How would she know, for instance, that you needed money for the DMV and that you didn't have it?
She was with me when we went to the DMV. She was with me. I went to go pull out money. My wife had the check. She said, oh, I'll take care of it. I was driving her around that day. Her car was in the shop. It was like gas money. I mean, this is how she works. She'll say, I'll take care of that, and then 5 days later when she's angry at you, she'll try to sue you for it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Roberta and Donald Allen say their son, Daniel Allen, owes for loans they made after he got out of jail. The Allens say Daniel served 4 years on an arson conviction.
Let's go to the phone bill.
We could talk about the phone bill.
We could.
The phone bill.
I think that right now is the appropriate time.
Back in November, me and my wife tried to set up a cell phone, and they wanted because we had a bankruptcy, they wanted a $1,000 deposit.
So she wasn't doing so well in her job.
No, we had a bankruptcy 3 years previously. It was just something, our credit was messed up. It had nothing to do with us not having money, but they wanted to deposit a high one. I was talking to my mom about a cell phone. My mom said, hey, I can get one on my account. It won't cost you guys anything. You just give me the $20 for the phone, $40 a month for 500 local, whatever the minutes were. It was like 2,000 minutes a month. We said, yeah, sure, let's do that. That'll help out great. I was incarcerated 3 weeks after we had the phone. I went back for the second time for the threat to harass. My wife, who was handling everything by herself and didn't have an extra income now that I was gone again, she called my mom and said, hey, my mom would call and say, hey, the phone's due, and you can ask her. She said, hey, don't worry about it. I'll handle it until you guys get back on your feet, and that's exact words. I even called my mom from jail and said, hey, Mom, I don't know what you want to do with the phone. You want to take it back? It'll cost me more money to take the phone back.
Where do you get $2,008 in telephone calls?
We've never seen a bill.
Can I see the bill?
These are the front pages to the bills, and I've given him several bills, which he subsequently tore up because he didn't want his wife to see what phone calls were on him. I have the complete...
No, I want the bills with what calls were made. The last bill I have here indicates $802.15, which is the total balance.
That's $150 shut-off fee, $300, $360-some for the
No,
last
I'm just
bill.
saying, you say, listen to me, Miss Allen, you say he owes you $2,008 for the phone bill. The last bill that I have here is $802.15.
I've been paying the bill.
Are you telling me because you made some payments?
I made a lot of payments, yeah.
How many payments did you make on this phone bill?
We made three, one of $250 and one of $100, and then some minor ones in between that. But those were all without seeing anything but the first bill.
Who lives in Lancaster?
Several people.
Your friends?
Yeah,
relatives?
I don't know how many different people.
What's Diamond Bar?
A place in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
I don't know what's down there. I don't know who exactly those numbers are.
How many children do you have?
2 and 1 on the way.
I gather from looking at these papers that your parents don't see your children anymore.
Yes, ma'am.
Why is that?
My mother has alienated most of our family. Other siblings don't speak with her, and then we go to my children. We went to Vegas one weekend. It's just the numerous things. I guess my wife can explain it better than that. It was more both of our decision.
Okay, I'll hear you.
Basically, it's just that she doesn't recognize us as parents. We'll ask her not to do something, and it's constantly going over the line that's set.
Give me an example.
It started when they were planning their trip to Ohio, and she told Theo in front of my 3-year-old, they're 3 and 5, she told the 5-year-old, because that's her favorite, she's made that very clear, that he would be going on her trip with her to Ohio for like 3 weeks was the plan. This was before she ever talked to me or my husband. I came to pick them up because they had spent the night. I think my son said something like, I get to go on an airplane, and I was like, what? And they said, oh yeah, we think it's a good idea for him to come to Ohio with us for our vacation, and went on. Well, they had already said this to my kids. You don't discuss something with a 5-year-old before you make sure it's okay.
You're absolutely right.
And then from there, I mean, other things have happened.
Was that recently?
Yeah, she just went in...
June, beginning of July was their trip,
but
and
I mean,
it was before that it was discussed.
The situation directly before they left, I mean, she told them, when the fair comes, I'm going to take him on, oh no, I'm going to take him to a glider ride. And we told him, no, you're not going to a glider ride. We were sitting, you know, Theo came and said, I'm going on an airplane, a glider ride. And we were like, no, that's not going to happen.
And that was your wife explained it much better than you did. Did you say that to your 5-year-old, that you were going to take him on a trip?
We were talking about going on our trip. He said he wanted to go. He wanted to know how we were getting there, what we were going to do, and he just was planning on going. And they told him no, it worked out. They called us every day while we were on vacation. Everything was just fine.
There was the blow up about, please don't say these things to him before you talk to me or Danny and know what our answer is. Okay, the glider thing, that was for her birthday. She wanted to take a glider trip, and she wanted her grandson to be with her. Again, she told him, and that she said, because when we picked him up, that she said, I told Theo that he will be going on the glider with me for my birthday. We said, hi, we're the parents. Could you try to talk to us about these things before you discuss it with Theo? 5 minutes after that, she said, oh, fine then, I'll just take you up in a helicopter ride at the fair. Right in front of us without, again, saying anything. I think this all started, all the lawsuits and everything, after we went to Vegas. She has 5 or 6 foster kids, and it's a fun thing for the kids to go and spend the night in the tent in the backyard once in a while. Thursday night they called and asked, can Theo and Brian stay in the tent? They're going to spend the night in the tent tonight. We said, okay, sure, fine. We had already planned for them to watch the boys that weekend when we went to Vegas. I came home, my son comes home and says that he ended up spending, okay, obviously he spent Thursday with our permission, Friday, Saturday night also in the tent. I know with 6 kids, my 5-year-old was in the tent all weekend long. He didn't get sleep. He fell asleep within 10 minutes of being home. That upset me.
Just a minute. Were you in Vegas?
Yes, I was.
Did you have a good time?
Yes, I did.
If you were in Vegas and had a good time and you came home, you have 2 kids?
Yes.
Nobody was in a cast. Nobody had gone for surgery. Right? Shh. Listen.
Okay, Your Honor.
No. Believe me, been there, done that on both sides. Not very hard.
Your Honor, excuse me. Okay.
You have to respect the fact that they're the parents. You, on the other hand, have to understand that if you ask somebody to do you a favor and take care of your children so that you can go on vacation, you relinquish a certain amount of parental authority. So if she wants him to sleep in a tent, if she wants him to sleep on top of a bunk bed, then you just suck it up and say, I had a great 3 days, and the next time, if you don't like the sleeping arrangements, stay home. I guarantee you that once you have the 3rd, it's going to be very hard to get somebody to watch 3 children while you go to Vegas. 3 children being babysat for by somebody who cares for them. I don't care which one is her favorite, if she's got one. It doesn't make any difference. Who cares for them? Not a stranger. Grandparents spoil their grandchildren. It's one of the pleasures. Parents like to say, I'm in charge. Listen to me. And you're right. You're in charge. You have the right to make the big decisions. If they're going to go on a trip, and you're absolutely right. Before Grandma says, you want to come to Ohio with us, she shouldn't say anything. She should just say, we have to talk to your folks about that. And just leave it. Go on to something else. Get his mind off it. And then come and say, I'd really like to take him on a trip. Would it be all right with you? You're absolutely right. I'm not faulting you. But sometimes things happen, and you don't, just because they're grandparents, not that they're perfect. So it may not have come out just the way you thought it came out. The saddest part is you are taking away your children's right to enjoy the widest possible circle of love and affection that they can. And that's from their grandparents, as well as you.
I understand that, Your Honor.
So you shouldn't do it.
But my growing up and my family's growing up with my mother and my father has been totally twisted since we were young.
Then what'd you let him babysit for your children for?
But
No. No, you answered my question.
Because, I was still in the stage of, mommy's, it was a convenience, and Abe,
no,
mommy's
it's
still
a
there.
convenience.
Okay, and then...
So if you say your mother's twisted and your father's twisted, you wouldn't leave them alone with the 2 children that you like.
That's where we're at right now, and that's why these lawsuits came up, and I have a tape that'll show you, and I have a witness outside that'll come in here and state to you with the email she sends him one day, let me give you something, the next day I'm gonna hang your butt in court. And my witness is outside, and he's...
Not interested.
Okay.
Not interested. You had a big mouth, and somebody used the phone this much. I mean, I have a cell phone. I don't even know the number. If I have to call the police on it, if somebody is mugging me, I use it. Otherwise, I'm like a normal person. I sit down near a phone, I make a phone call. right? If you want to sit on the phone for hours and hours and hours and hours, then you got to pay for that. And if your mother made these little loans to you, she says they're little bits of loans to you. I have a feeling some of them are loans and some of them were not. When you give a child $15, you give a child $20, and you keep doing it over the course of time, then you don't say, well, it was really a loan. And you don't loan your child $15. Did you ever loan your child $15?
Your Honor?
I've never loaned my children anything.
Right. So, right. Well, that's true. And I can understand you saying to your daughter-in-law at some point, you worry about it when he gets out of jail because you felt maybe a little bit guilty, a little bit responsible for the children, for their welfare if he wasn't around, so you helped out a little bit. Miss Allen, that's what parents do.
Right.
The saddest thing that I find here is that you're not seeing your grandchildren, and that's the wrong thing to happen.
She won't.
It's not just the two things that we've mentioned. As long as you do everything that she wants you to do or she's happy, then everything's fine. Just like, I mean, we've been in many arguments. The phone's okay until we get in an argument, and then she mentions it. We say we want to see the bill. It doesn't happen. And then we get over the argument, and everything's fine for a little while.
We've offered her the phone back as soon as we offer it
But
back.
when it's a big blow-up,
Do you understand why you're here, though?
The cell phone.
No.
We could be here because we filed for a restraining order.
You're here because she can't see her grandchildren. That's why you're here. That's the only reason that you're here, is because you say this 5-year-old is her favorite.
But it's a pattern. She's also got a lawsuit against our brother-in-law, and
She's
she can't,
suing everybody.
It's not
Your
about
Honor,
not seeing that
They
grandchild.
both filed for restraining orders against me, which neither one of them showed up for in court after I paid an attorney. They owe me $500 for lawyer fees.
Listen, I just said to your son and daughter-in-law that the reason you were here and the reason you were angry is because you weren't seeing your grandchildren. That doesn't mean that I don't find that they owe you some money. I think that they do owe you some money. But I also think that you have to grow up a little bit. And if you want to avail yourself of babysitting services, and if they use Huggies instead of Pampers, and if they don't give them a tubby every night like you would, you just have to blink your eyes and say it's part of the price you pay for going away on vacation.
I understand.
That's it. So if you can come to terms with each other, fine. And if what you're doing is being very angry with each other, then I can't do anything about that. And then, anyway, you owe them $2,200. That includes some of the phone bills, some of the loans. I wish I got smarter and started keeping track of what my kids owe me. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may silence. This is case number 228 on the calendar in the matter of O'Connell versus Cruz. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. and Mrs. O'Connell, the defendant is your former daughter-in-law.
Correct.
Married to your son, and they had 3 children, according to your complaint. Is that right? You claim that you made a loan to her in order for her to be able to relocate, I assume after the divorce.
Yes, ma'am.
With 3 children.
Yes.
And she has not repaid that loan.
Yes.
And the defendant says that loan was no loan, but a gift. So we will get to that. And she has a cross complaint. I don't know what that's about, but I'm sure you'll explain it to me. Okay.
Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Just a second. I have questions. Okay. At the time that you advanced this money to the defendant, where were you living?
The state of Florida.
And where was the defendant living?
State of Maryland.
And tell me the circumstances surrounding her moving from Maryland to Florida.
Mainly, Your Honor, is that she had called me up on a Sunday afternoon, practically in tears. She didn't know what to do. She was being evicted from the apartment that she was living in because she didn't have the monies for the rent.
When was that?
The beginning of August of 2000.
Okay.
She pretty much begged for our help. She didn't know what to do. Her own mother wouldn't sign a lease for her to make sure that the monies for the rent were paid each month, because if Lisa failed to do that, the mother didn't want to be responsible.
How old were your 3 grandchildren at that time?
At the time...
4, 7, and 11.
And where was your son? In what state?
He was living in New York.
Okay, go ahead.
So she begged for our help. She didn't know what to do. She said she was going to have to go to a shelter or live in the car. She didn't have any money. Could we please help her? We discussed with her what we would be able to do.
Well, what did you say to her, and what did she say to you?
We told her that we would advance her the monies to move down here. I would have an apartment rented for her, have to pay first, last, and security. I would have utilities established if I needed to pay a deposit, but that I did expect the monies back from her. We were not in a position to give her a gift. Okay, this was a loan only. I would even have a job secured for her in Florida which I did, and as long as the utilities and the rent and the apartment was in my name, that I would make sure I would pretty much manage the monies coming in through her salary as well as her child support.
Is this what you discussed with her?
Yes, ma'am, to make sure that everything was paid for.
And what about your son? How come she was penniless in Maryland?
Well, she wasn't penniless, Your Honor. He was paying child support.
How much?
$328 every other week.
So he was paying $150 a week for the support of 3 children.
That's what they deemed necessary for him to pay.
What kind of work does he do?
He's a police officer. Your Honor, if I may, he had offered to pay more, but based upon his salary at the time that he got divorced, he was only told that he needed to pay $154.
I'm just trying to figure out how come she had absolutely no money. Now I understand why she had no money. Is your family in Maryland?
No, it is not.
Where's your family?
My family was in New York.
When you were living with your husband, were you living in New York or in Maryland?
In New York with my ex-husband.
So what did you move to Maryland for?
Maryland, I moved because I have friends there. Just wanted to start over with the kids in a better area.
Had you discussed that with your husband before you moved to Maryland?
With my ex-husband, I had never any contact once he left with the other woman. He never came back.
So he left you in New York?
He left me with the 3 kids, no money, an eviction notice, all the power.
So that's why you moved to Maryland?
Right.
Okay. Go ahead. So then she comes down to Florida.
So we advanced her the monies to come down to Florida.
How much in total did you advance her?
I advanced her a total of almost $9,000, which $2,400 was paid back, and that's where it stopped.
When did she stop making payments to you?
She stopped making payments through her ex-husband's child support in November
What do you mean
of
through
2000.
her ex-husband's child support? What does that mean?
What she was doing is turning over one of the child support checks to me as repayment for what I was advancing her.
Now, when they came down to Florida, your daughter-in-law and the 3 children, did you see them regularly?
Oh, yes, we saw them regularly.
That was a good
They were
thing.
a good part of their life.
And they still see them regularly?
No.
Yes, they
No,
do.
ma'am, we don't.
Yes,
No, ma'am, we don't.
September 8th, they took them to the movies and out to eat. Right after that, the week after, September 15th, my father-in-law took my 3 children to the library and got them library cards. Okay, they do see them. They
may
do.
not see them the way they like to see them, but it's good at least that they
Yes,
see them.
they do
That's a
see
good,
them.
That's a good thing.
After that was when I was served, and they have not seen the children, and that was their choice. Never mind. My children have nothing to do with what's going on between us.
Well, that's
their
very-
grandparents.
That's very good.
And they have not called to see them.
You should.
No, we did, Your Honor. That's not
She's not
entirely
living in
true.
the house.
The last time I called her up, I said, I want to establish grandfather night again. I want to be able to take those kids out every Monday like I used to do before. And her word was, I'll think about it.
Your Honor, I'm being charged for every Monday that they took them
No,
out.
we're not, Your Honor.
Yes, they are.
Just a second.
Yes,
What do you
I
mean-
am.
what do you mean
If
being
you
charged?
look at the suit that they're charging me, they're charging me for times where they took them out to eat, paper goods, a birthday cake, a birthday present they bought them.
Something must have happened.
They are
What-
jealous of my mom. I can tell you
What
the whole
happened?
story.
All right, because something must have happened to you, because here you have good people.
Yes, very good, and I love them to death for
Good
everything they
people
did.
who try to do the right thing. You call up and you say, this is not going well. I'm prepared to come to Florida, but I don't have any money. These don't look like really rich people, right?
Correct.
Right. So it's not as if the money was free-flowing. You did it because you wanted your only 3 grandchildren to have some sort of stability and security. So far they're okay. And for a long time, they were an integral part of the kids' lives. What I want to know is what happened to
tell you.
change that?
What happened was I came down here first with the children.
To Florida.
To Florida. And everything, like she said, was fine. There was never a verbal agreement of you have to pay me back. It was, we are going to help you because we know that you're having a tough time with no child support from my ex-husband. When I came down, they had everything prepared, which turned out to be a lie.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Claire and Brian O'Connell are suing their former daughter-in-law, Lysandra Cruz, for a loan to move. The O'Connells say Lysandra is keeping them from seeing their grandchildren.
Go ahead.
The apartment that supposedly I have proof here that I paid the security and I paid the first month October rent and every rent after that. Once I got here, I took over all the bills, paying them, which I have every receipt and every proof that I have paid every single bill that was under her name.
Were you working?
Yes.
Was it a job that your mother-in-law had found for you?
Yes.
What kind of job?
It is a computer analyst for a bank.
Great.
Yeah.
And who takes care of the children? Who was
They
taking
go
care
to
of
the
children?
YMCA after school program.
Wonderful. Go ahead.
Okay. So everything was going okay. What started happening was she started meeting me every payday after work and made sure that I went to the bank with her and everything was paid like a little child. It was like a controlling thing started happening.
What was paid?
The phone bill, the light bill, the rent, everything, which I kept saying to her, I can do on my own. I am not a child. I know how to do this. She had the key to the house. She would come into the apartment while I was sleeping. She would come in while I was at work because neighbors would tell me, what was your mother-in-law doing in your apartment while you're working? Started getting very scary. I started calling my mother and telling her, Ma, this is really bad. They have total control of me. I cannot take this. I need help. The whole thing started was she wanted the family together in Florida because they wanted to grow up with the grandchildren.
I think that that's
and everybody be together. That's what happened. Once my mother came down to Florida, she was going to stay with me until she found an apartment and a job. Well, this is where everything happened, where she got very jealous. My mother-in-law, Claire, wanted me to charge my mother $300 a week for my mom to stay with me, which I refused. I said, this is my mother. I cannot charge my mother for staying with me. There is absolutely no way I could do it. She came to the house, confronted me in front of my mom, and said, speak up now, wanted me to tell my mother that she had to pay me to stay, plus the money was going to go to her, not me, even though I was paying the rent.
You mean to pay off this loan?
Supposedly what I owed her. It started all out of jealousy, ma'am. All out of jealousy, Your Honor. And it shouldn't have been this way, because I love them equally.
Oh, all terrible. All very sad. Are you working?
Yes, I am.
You live with your daughter and your 3 grandchildren, or do you have your own place?
I have my own place.
Now.
And now she's living with me. And the
Stand
2
up.
children. Sorry.
So you left the apartment that your mother-in-law
I was
originally
thrown
found,
out.
and you moved into a new place with your mom.
I was thrown
When did
out.
you do that?
We left the
In
apartment
August.
in August.
Sounds to me like you are a very responsible, caring gal,
Very.
and hopefully not let this interfere with your children having wonderful relationships with both of their sets of grandparents. So that's wonderful. And Mr. and Mrs. O'Connell, I think that you're lovely people.
Yes, but it's not entirely true what she says,
It's
Your
not
Honor.
true what she says, Your Honor.
Listen to me.
Okay.
Miss Cruz, by her own statements, doesn't deny that she owes you some more money, that this was not a gift. Because if she was paying you back, then it's clear to me that it was the understanding between the two of you that the money that you advanced her would be returned when she could.
All right.
It's one of those unusual cases where you all sound like absolutely lovely people, and I'm not going to look at all of your bills and everything else, and I'm going to tell you why, Mr. and Mrs. O'Connell, because I don't want you to say or do anything that will permanently alter the relationship that you have with your daughter-in-law. And you really have to make an arrangement so that they can see the kids
They
sort of
do.
regularly, and shouldn't allow this thing
You know,
here.
they do. What I am mostly afraid of, the last time they took my children, my daughter Jessica came back hysterical crying because as kids they do ask, Grandma, Grandpa, can you buy me this, can you buy me that? She asked them to buy her a sweater. Claire said, I will not buy your sweater because your mother gets child support. Now, how can you tell a child that? My daughter came back hysterical crying. I am totally afraid for them to go with them.
They're not going to say that anymore. If they said it, maybe they need a reality check.
Your Honor, I said, excuse me, Jesse, I love you very much, but Grandma is all spent out, okay? All these times when Daddy wasn't sending the checks, Grandpa and I were paying for everything. I said, we don't have
How
any
old
more
is this
money.
child? How
She's
old
8
is-
years old, and I said, Jesse, I said, now your mommy is getting all of your daddy's child support,
Which
the
I am
current
not.
plus the back child support. I wish I could,
Miss
Jesse.
O'Connell, that is not a discussion that you have with an 8-year-old. Children should never, ever be involved with the finances in a family. Children, all they hear is, there's friction in my family, it's all over money, my
Children should
daddy...
never be heard then. Children.
Right. You're absolutely right. So even though you started out with, I love you very much, you did something very hurtful. Don't show me anything yet.
May I say one thing, Your Honor?
I'm not finished.
I'm sorry.
So sometimes adults don't always do the right thing either.
This is what I'm saying. I'm very afraid.
They're not going to do it anymore. Promise?
Promise.
Promise?
Definitely promise, Your Honor.
Promise.
I love them to death. I love my
Promise.
grandchildren so much.
Maybe they didn't realize that it was hurtful to her, but they really have to have sort of a regular...
Yes.
You have any
I
problem
agree.
with that?
I know. I totally agree. I never did have a problem. They've always had the right to see, like I said, the kids. I never put the kids in the middle.
Good.
My understanding is that the children are not living with Lisa's mother any
They're
longer.
living with my mother.
Well, do you live with your mother?
Yes.
What makes you think not?
My son, when he came down for a visit, he went over there and says that Lisa is getting another apartment somewhere. She's been saving the child support money to get an apartment.
Listen to me. There ain't that much to save.
Thank you.
She's not becoming rich on the amount of
becoming
child support that your son is sending to her. Believe me. Listen to me, folks. These children are the innocents. And whatever other agendas everybody has, you have to make sure that the innocents aren't made to feel any worse. Here, they had a wonderful relationship with you. All of a sudden, that's taken away from them because of a dispute amongst adults having nothing to do with them. So these children, if you want them to grow up emotionally secure, you better stop the bickering. Now, Miss Cruz, you owe the O'Connells some money, okay? Because I find that this was not a gift, but it was a loan that they made to you as you could repay them. Now I'm going to hear your counterclaim. Let me hear it.
Your Honor, first of all, I gave in my car when I first moved to Florida in order to get another car. Because of my divorce with my ex-husband and loans that he had, my credit history is no good. They, in turn, say, we will put the car under our name and you make all the payments. Well, Your Honor, that's exactly what I did. Now, when they turned around and got angry with my mom for the jealousy bit with the grandma thing, they went and they stole the car. We went outside and the car was gone.
Okay, you took it back. When did you take it back?
Okay, we took it back August 1st of this year, and the reason that we took it back, Your Honor, is because she had said to my husband, I don't want anything to do with you, I'm not paying you any more monies, leave me alone, don't have anything to do with me.
So you acknowledge that she had made all the payments on this car?
All the payments except for one, Your Honor.
Every
She
single
made all the payments except for one.
For virtually all the payments on this car. Is that right?
Correct.
So the reason you took it back is because she said to you, I'm not giving you any more money.
Exactly.
What did you do with the car?
We have it. We're using it.
Did that leave her without a car?
Yes, it did leave her without a car.
Why would you do that?
Because she said to me she's not giving us any more money, she's not making any more payments to us.
So you took back the car?
Yes.
As payment for this loan?
No, Your Honor.
Separate.
No, Your Honor, it's separate.
No, Your Honor, they
No, it's not separate.
Yes, it is, Your Honor. She had abused privileges that I gave her. She was ruining my credit with
Never.
FPL. She
Your
ruined,
Honor, I have
she
No,
ruined my
I'm
credit.
talking about car.
Okay.
Car.
Nope.
Car. How much did you invest in the car in total?
$3,000, Your Honor. And every
Your Honor,
single
that's
thing
not
is
true.
here.
That's
Yes,
not
it is.
true, Your Honor.
Every money order's here. You can
Your
count
Honor,
it
that's not
yourself.
true, Your Honor.
You can count it yourself, Your Honor.
That's not true.
Well, how
this,
much,
Your
let me
Honor?
ask you this question. How much money do you say that she has paid into the car?
Okay, $231 for 9 payments. So she used the car in June and hasn't paid me money for that.
that money.
No. Don't fight, please. I didn't want there to be any fighting. You also include your insurance in
Yes,
that bill.
that's
I'm just
not
talking about the car payments.
And that's not counting my car that I gave in, the 1994 Taurus.
And how much did you get for that?
$400 they put towards the bill of the car.
Okay. So all this started a whole bunch of problems. All started because you say your mother-in-law, they got jealous. She wanted you to charge your mother rent in order to pay her back faster. You said no. They got annoyed. To make a long story short, you've paid in $2,079 on the car. In addition, $400 you got as a trade-in for your old car. You had the use of this car, but you took this car back sort of in partial payment of whatever debt she owed you. So I'm deducting that from the cost of the $5,000. And I want to tell you something else. I think that you're not being terribly smart, the O'Connells. If Miss Cruz is saying what she means, which is she cares for you both, and that she's really very sorry for all of these bad things that happened between the two of you, and these are your only 3 grandchildren, I would, as my grandson would say, suck it up. because I think you're making a big mistake for taking this any further. In any event, I find that she does not owe you the $5,000 that you're requesting. I am doing a set-off with the counterclaim. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,571. That is it.
We're also searching for our computer, Your Honor, which she has that we want back.
They gave that to their grandson.
Goodbye.
You may step out. This is case number 286 on the calendar in the matter of Rytan versus Wood. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Bird, I want you to trust me on this one.
I trust you all the time.
You're going to love this case. It seems that the plaintiff, and I'm just summarizing the facts as I understand them from the complaint, you went over to visit a friend.
Yes, ma'am.
This friend lives in a complex that is managed by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Where's the friend?
Laura Rick.
She lives in the complex, or did?
I did.
And your car was there?
Yes.
In the parking lot of the complex?
Yes.
And for some reason or another, you got really loaded?
Yes, ma'am.
And about what time was it that you arrived at her apartment and got really loaded?
It was approximately 6:45 in the morning. I had just gotten off work.
And you came to her apartment and started to drink?
Yes, ma'am.
And for how long did you drink?
I can't say for sure. It was a matter of 2 hours.
Long time. And then, I gather, according to what I've read in your complaint, you blacked out.
Yes.
But it appears that while you were in this self-induced stupor, you shedded some of your clothes?
Yes, ma'am.
All of your clothes?
I was naked from the waist down.
And you proceeded to go into somebody else's apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
Shh. So far, we following each other?
Right, which?
The other person whose apartment you went into wasn't home at the time, but came home later? You don't know.
I don't know that.
But that's what it appears. Came home and found you butt naked in his apartment, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And there was some major scuffle because we're not exactly playing Goldilocks and the Three Bears here. So they roughed you up a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
And the police were called.
I do have pictures of what was happened to me.
Oh, I'd like to see them.
And I also have pictures of the vehicle.
Don't tell me vehicle. I'm not at the vehicle yet, which forms the basis of this complaint, sir.
Damn.
Okay. So when these folks came home and found you doing what you were doing in their apartment, but naked, they beat you up.
Yes, ma'am.
Police were called, and you were taken to jail.
Yes, ma'am.
At that point, for breaking and entering into their apartment.
Yes.
Okay. So far, so good.
Yes, ma'am.
The thrust of your lawsuit against the defendant is, after the police came and hauled your, hopefully then clothed body to the precinct, she had your car towed.
Yes, ma'am.
And it cost you $165 to get your car out of the impound.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you're suing her for.
Yes.
I told you you'd love it. I want you to give me the theory of your case, sir.
Your Honor, the way I'm seeing it is the fact that there was damage done to my vehicle, having it towed. I did screw up. I'm not going to deny that. When I was found in the apartment, I was completely unconscious. And from what the police were told, I was being restrained until they got there. And if you look at those pictures, you can see that's not how you restrain an unconscious person.
I don't know if you were unconscious or not, sir. You're shaking your head. Were you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you the owner of that premises?
I was the owner of the apartment he went into.
Why don't you step up, sir? What is your name?
Richard Holler.
Mr. Holler, what time had you arrived home that morning?
I arrived home, probably around 12:30, I think it was.
When you went to open your door, had it been jiggled, or was there some evidence
no, my
of breaking?
door was left open a little ways. I was at a friend's house helping him out, and I was on the way home, and I had received a phone call from my daughter, Jamie.
Did she go to the apartment first?
All three of my daughters were in the apartment, yes.
Step up, Jamie. Tell me what happened, Jamie.
I was inside my bedroom, and me and my sisters were talking, and I heard the door open and shut.
The front door of the apartment?
and I went to go see if my dad came in, and then I saw him in the living room.
This person?
And he then took off his pants. And
he took off his pants in your apartment?
Yeah.
He was standing up?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he say anything?
No.
Were you frightened?
I was scared at the time.
Had you ever seen him before, Jamie?
No, ma'am.
So you see a stranger coming into your apartment early in the morning? At what time did he come into the apartment?
Around 11 o'clock.
Walk into your apartment, take a look at you, and then drop his pants. Is that what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened next?
Then I turned around and got my sisters to jump out of the window, and we went to a neighbor's house, and then I called my dad.
From the neighbor's house?
Yeah.
And you stayed there?
Yes.
When you jumped out of the window, do you live on the first floor, I hope?
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody was hurt?
No, ma'am.
Sit down, Jamie. Okay, so tell me what happened when you came home, sir.
So she called me when she got to the neighbor's house and told me that a guy had came into our apartment and started disrobing. And I asked her where she was at, and she told me right away that her and her sisters were okay, that they were at the neighbor's house. So I got home and I went into the apartment complex, and I seen that my door was open a little ways. And I opened it up a little bit, and from opening it up, you can kind of see our couch. I could see somebody on our couch. So I shut the door and walked down to the caretaker lad's house and asked him to call the police. And I went back to the apartment and went back in and confronted him.
What did you say to him?
He was laying on our couch completely naked except for a t-shirt. Basically told him to get up, and he sat up and asked him to get out, and then there was a little bit of a scuffle, and I basically detained him in the hallway until the cops got there.
Now, when you say you detained him in the hallway, how did he get to the hallway?
Walked. I mean, well, kind of wrestled around a little bit to the hallway.
But he was on his own feet?
Yes, he was.
Okay, and the police arrived?
Yes, they did, ma'am.
What were you charged with, sir?
I was charged with disorderly conduct.
You're pretty lucky.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. William Rightan says his car was impounded while visiting his ex-girlfriend's apartment. The apartment manager, Nancy Wood, says a drunken William walked into another tenant's apartment.
Okay, Miss Wood, what was he charged with?
Originally, he was charged with fourth-degree burglary and indecent exposure.
And he pled guilty to something. What did you plead guilty to?
Actually, before I even had to plead guilty, there was a Second Amendment, I believe it was. My mother has been around for this whole thing, and she's also witnessed me get myself into a treatment program the following day.
I didn't ask you that question, sir. I asked you, what did you ultimately plead guilty to?
I plead guilty to disorderly conduct.
Right, but that's not what you were charged with.
That's not what the ticket was wrote for. I never pleaded guilty to anything until they gave me disorderly conduct.
So you waited until you got an appropriate plea bargain. Breaking into somebody's apartment and taking your clothes off is exactly what you were charged with, initially. Okay, Miss Wood, were you advised by the caretaker that he had been taken to jail?
That afternoon, I was coming back to work from lunch, and I noticed a squad car sitting in the parking lot with a man in the back seat. The caretaker, Lad Harite, had approached me and said there was a problem while I was gone, and basically told me that the plaintiff here had gone into another apartment and exposed himself.
So you had his car towed?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. That's what I would have done, right?
That sounds right to me.
Sounds right to me, too. Yeah. You didn't get a bill from this family for cleaning their sofa, did you?
No, ma'am.
It's the first thing I would have done. Had my sofa professionally cleaned and sent you the bill. I mean, don't you feel foolish?
Honestly, I do feel foolish for my actions.
Yeah, of course.
But like I said, I did take quite the beating, and there's no way I walked anywhere. The police couldn't even pick me up and get me to walk on my own. I was literally dragged outside.
Let me explain something to you, sir. If my husband ever came home and our young daughters were in an apartment where some guy had broken in, stripped down naked, and came home and found this naked, what in his mind is a pervert, who forced his daughters to jump out of a window because they don't know what you're going to do, this would have looked like a Picasso. I wouldn't complain if I were you. You're still here. Now, Even Officer Byrd is a very caring, conservative kind of guy. But he has little children. And I wouldn't even ask him what he would do if he found some guy had come into his home when he wasn't there and frightened his children as a result of self-induced intoxication by disrobing, something that his children would never forget. You wouldn't like to venture what you might do to that person.
Oh, he don't want to know.
So I would suggest that you take this, sir, as a really good lesson. And don't sue anybody. You're just lucky they didn't sue you for emotional distress caused to those young girls when they walked out into their living room and found you standing there and you took a look at them and dropped your pants. You're lucky they didn't sue you. That would be the case that I would like to have.
Yet,
What?
He's not paying for the counselor bills either for it.
That would be an interesting lawsuit, sir. But this one is a no-brainer. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I honestly did learn from my actions and have been getting treatment for my alcohol problem.
I was frightened when I first saw him.
I'm very proud of his actions now, and he has entered a full-bore treatment program, and he's doing well.
I'm proud of Jamie for what she did and got her sisters out of there as soon as possible.
I screwed up and got to pay the consequence from it.
Be responsible for your actions.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cole versus Watts. Step forward, please.
23-year-old business owner Mariah Cole is suing her former employee, 27-year-old Rebecca Watts, for the cost of her merchandise. Mariah says when Rebecca returned a starter kit of adult toys, some of the products were missing.
Ms. Cole, can you explain the kind of business that you run to me?
I run an adult novelty and home party business.
What is adult novelty?
We go into homes and hold parties for adults with lotions and potions and vibrators.
That kind of adult party?
Yes.
I didn't understand. I really didn't understand what that was from your complaint. And according to your complaint, the defendant wanted to be part of your business. And I gather that the way your business works is there's a starter kit that costs $250 that has a sampling of all the merchandise.
Correct.
And people take the starter kit, which they pay for, and then proceed to have house parties with other people and sell it, sort of like what we used to do with Tupperware.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Only high-tech Tupperware.
Right.
Okay. Your complaint alleges, and the defendant concedes, that she was interested in making some extra money, decided to try this business, took a starter kit from you, and your understanding was that she would not give you the $250 right up front, but would host her parties, and a percentage of the money that she received she would give to you as in for payment for the starter kit as it went along. Is that right?
Yes.
And you did host some parties?
I hosted 2.
But they were not particularly successful?
Correct.
You decided you no longer wanted to be in business?
Correct.
And according to you, she did not return the starter kit in the same condition as you gave it to her?
Correct.
You want the $250 for the starter kit?
Yes.
So, that's the case. I'll hear you.
Okay. I brought her back the kit, and she told me that there were some items missing out of it. And one of the items was broke, which I knew that the lid on one of the items was broke. 2 of the items, which was some order forms and a whip, I did have in my car because I was in the process of moving. I had taken the kit over to my friend's mother's house to keep it there while I was moving so nothing happened to it. When she told me what items were missing, I knew for sure the 2 items that she said was missing were in there whenever I got the kit from her house, because even her mother and her saw the items in there because one of them was leaking and she took it out and cleaned it.
What did you leave this kit at your friend's house for?
I was in the process of moving and I was trying to get it over to her house.
Why didn't you just bring it over to her house right away?
I was trying to get all my stuff to storage and then move it over to her.
Yeah, but according to your answer, you left the kit at your friend's house and they took out the kit to look at and were fooling around with it.
Yeah, her mom was curious.
I mean, if she's going to use this starter kit again, it has to be in the exact same condition as you got it.
Right. I offered to pay her for the items that was broke, and the one item, the one potion stuff that was in there that she said wasn't in there. I didn't know what happened to that.
So I offered to pay her for the items that were broken, the one item that was missing. And then I told her I had the other items, and then that's when she decided that she just wanted the money for the whole kit.
What did the kit look like when it came back to you?
When I received the kit back, there were items missing. The items that were missing entailed the bull whip, one of a set of 2 C-rings, 10 catalogs, making love oil, flavors strawberry and champagne, order forms, the diving dolphin, good head.
I don't even want to ask what that means.
Okay.
Go ahead.
There were also some of the bags that were missing, and erasers, which we use as tasters at our shows. The eager beaver, which appeared to be used. The pleasure mint that appeared to be used, which is true because we do arm massages at our parties. So that may have been used, but we would have appreciated that to have been cleaned up before she returned it to us. And then the tickle and taste was broke.
I have to make this simple, and I have to let these people go. Right, Bert? As fast as possible.
It's getting a little warm.
Right?
Here.
And you thought your wife was going to Tupperware parties. Okay. You don't have to be a genius to figure out that the reason you have a starter kit is the starter kit, I assume, is going to get used in the process of selling product. Because that's what it is. It's passed around. But the starter kit was new when it was given to you. Is that right?
Correct.
And the expectation was that you were going to use it in your business. Well, you can't return a used kit.
But she had told me that I could. That's why, or else I would have paid her up front if she would have told me I couldn't bring it back from the beginning.
Well,
she
did
told
you
me
have
just
it-
go ahead and bring the kit back and don't worry about it.
Well, maybe she
So-
didn't know that you had used all these things in the kit. I mean, if you're returning it in the condition that she gave it to you, then she's absolutely right. Return the kit. If it's in the same condition as the one I gave to you, fine. But if she has somebody else who comes to her and wants to enter into a business relationship, she can't give them that kit. She can't. You're probably better off out of the business anyway. How much money did you make?
Maybe $40 off one show.
$40.
Yeah, it was more time consuming than anything.
Oh, you're entitled to your kit fee. You have the kit?
Yes.
Where is it?
Part of it is here and part of it is out there.
Okay,
with
but
us.
you have the kit. I don't
Yes.
want to see it.
Okay.
She just bought it.
Okay.
Okay? So you're going to give the kit to her and do with it what you will. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $250. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
ফ্রেন্ডসরা সবাই কেমন আছো? আশা করি সবাই ভালো আছো। আজকে তোমাদের সামনে আমি ছবিটি রং করে দেখাবো। ভিডিওটি না টেনে সম্পূর্ণ দেখবে। ছবিটি রং করা সম্পূর্ণ হলো।